All right, we're live. We're here. How you going? I don't know if to call this the Motive Video monthly Q&A podcast. Is it a live stream? I don't know. It's one of those things. But for our viewers out there, this is an opportunity we want to try and do once a month, just to give you guys an update on what's happening with project cars, events, behind the scenes in the car scene. It's a chance for us to answer any questions that you guys have, I guess, of our history, how we've got here, what we've been doing, things like that. There's a lot of history between Motive and Ignition and everything we've done here, the team and myself. And obviously, we can talk about technical topics on here, whatever basically people want to hear about. If you want to ask about how something works, if you want a little quick tech feature or whatever. But yeah, there's a few options there that we can have with these monthly Q&As. So right now, I guess the big thing is answering some of the questions. Probably the biggest thing we get asked is generally about project cars and our events. So I think for this video, we'll probably talk about project cars first, have a look at events that we're running next, and then from there, we'll talk about other events that we're going to attend and why. And then basically after that, I don't know, throw some questions in there. We'll see what else we can answer and what else we can talk about in this Q&A monthly. If it goes well, we can do it every month. So first up, project cars. We have a few. We have a few more on the way. I'll talk about Jet 200 first, because I guess what happens with Jet 200 and our 32 GTR being our two main cars, whatever happens to them affects every other project car due to time constraints and budget constraints. Many people think all we do is YouTube, but we do have a production company as well, Jet Multimedia. We run events and we have our YouTube channel. They link together, but it does mean that project cars are, well, let me put it this way. The simple fact of the matter is YouTube doesn't make enough money to pay for those cars. We need sponsor support. And obviously with Sparesbox, Uniclutch, PRP, Car from Japan, putting in a monthly support, it helps. And then without sponsors and stuff, we literally can't afford to make them. Best example is, the twins versus single video was probably 5 days of actual work, if not 6, and filming plus editing. It's like, call it 2 weeks worth of man hours. I mean, you're talking like a $10,000 video. YouTube might pay you a couple of grand, something like that. So project cars were obviously limited by time because we needed to actually do work to get the money to pay for these things, and then the budget as well. So Jet 200, obviously, World Time Attack last year, the result we got was huge. 1 minute 29.9. I was just never what I expected to do. It was over the moon. The whole team was pumped. So everyone's now like, well, what next for Jet 200? My original plan was to basically hang up the car once it ran a 29 because Time Attack would get too expensive and too over the top, and just you don't use the car much, etc. But obviously the 29.9 happened with things still left on the table. There was a misfire we still hadn't sorted out. Not a misfire that was sort of damaging, just more of a, I guess, it fueled up as it switched the VVL cam on from small to big lobe. We never really got the chance to find that in the map, and we had to reset some stuff on the car. Never got the chance to fix it. I had a cracked header tank, bit of water coming out. We never got time to finesse a couple of little things. So we know there's time left on the table. So we will be getting Jet 200 ready for the next World Time Attack Challenge for 2024 at the end of August. What are we changing on the car? I don't know yet. There's talk of changing to an aftermarket GK Tech front knuckle because I had standard knuckles in it. Aero-wise, I've had ideas, but honestly, I can go fast with what we've got. Maybe a larger APR wing. If APR are happy to help support us, we may go to a larger rear wing. There's a couple of things we can do around the front bumper with some canards and things like that. We might do a little bit, but we want to keep that basic aero package that people can relate to. That was half of it was done on the floor at CS Engineering, right? With, aluminium box tube to create a splitter. So like, it's not a $100,000 aero package. It's probably a $10,000 aero package, right? So we think we're doing pretty well with that. Engine-wise, we have looked at going billet block. I said I didn't want to go billet block because I felt like it wasn't relatable to our viewers. But on the flip side, a standard SR20 block, when it's alloy, even though it's wedged, even if we sleeve it, and we've got billet main caps, we've got billet girdle, even if we sleeve it, we're still going to find the block can warp. And when it warps at that sort of power level, the head gasket just doesn't seal properly. And that's why you end up with a lifted head, essentially, or pushing past the gasket. When we changed the gasket from Jet 200, there's no damage to the gasket, really. You could just see where it blew around it. So one option is we go billet block. The other option is we sleeve the block, but we need to do one of those if we want to keep holding that power. Otherwise, we're going to be changing head gaskets either once or 5 times in a weekend. So That's really all we need to do to the engine, as well as fix the header tank. We need to re-weld it, fix up the crack that happened just before the shootout that was basically seeping coolant out. Yes, we went out in the shootout with coolant coming out the bonnet vent onto the windscreen. So if we fix that up and then get it back on the dyno, get that sorted, that's like really all we have to do. The brakes, the tires, the coilovers, the suspension. I refuse to move away from factory subframes. I want the car to stay as Sylvia. So we don't really want to do any drastic changes. I think suspension-wise, just new knuckles in the front. And yeah, a couple of very slight revisions if we can get the support, and then either a billet block, sleeved block, or we run the gauntlet and leave it how it is. We really don't know until we get there. If we can get the support, we'll do it. If not, we might just leave some of those things. But I do want to do World Time Attack again. Our goal now is a 28.9. And I think after that, there's probably a fair chance that could be it. And then we turn the car down and I can go race it and enjoy it and have fun with it. GTR end in it, drag race it, whatever. Just try and bring it back, because World Time Attack cars are so highly strung. Pretty much you only end up using them for that one event. And any development and testing is usually for that event. Then once the event's over, you're broke, so you got to wait a while. So Jet 200 did get in the way of some other cars getting worked on. But basically, yeah, that's what you're going to expect with Jet 200. Our GTR we were trying to get it to TX2K in the US to basically start racing there and spend 6 months there and just having fun with it, racing it, letting YouTubers review it, drive it, showing it off, and promoting GTR Festival USA in November. However, our biggest problem was we knew we needed to basically pull the head off, change the gasket, because it pushed water, lifted the head because the rear housing was a bit small, and when I pushed it to run the 8.6, a little bit too much back pressure. So I decided, okay, what I will do is we'll just pull the head off, change the gasket, bigger rear housing, and off we go. But that snowballed. I think you saw in the video, if you watched, that, painted the engine bay. We're going to do new wiring, a new Nexus with a PDM. We're going to do a whole new wiring loom, all new lines. Everything's powder coated, anodized. Well, as you can imagine, you go down the rabbit hole, and it took longer. Once we realized we couldn't make TX2K, the rush was kind of off. Rather than trying to get it all done by Christmas, it's like, well, let's just regroup, everyone have a Christmas. We'll get all the bits back halfway through January, end of January, and then get the car back together. So right now, the engine will be back from COD next week. It has a new billet PPG sequential coming probably the next couple of weeks. That piece of information is relevant to Project No Secrets very soon. So we have the engine back for the 32 next week, and then basically we'll rip into that. The goal is to start testing that in when we get back from TX2K. I want to be testing that car, do drag battle and GTR challenge at Cootamundra, do the Optima Batteries Ultimate Street Car that is now being run by the people that run Summernats and MotorX, etc. in April, then do GTR Festival, run an 8 for the crowd at GTR Festival, and then ship the car to America as a tested, ready-to-go car. It'll spend the rest of the year in America, do our event, GTR Festival. It'll probably be at SEMA. Where else, I'm not sure yet, but that's the plan with the 32. So that car now is staying cast block, 17-inch wheels, I guess street car with a 76mm turbo. All that's changing power-wise is no extra power, just having a larger rear housing is basically what's going to do that. So that's what's happening with our GTR. Now, Project No Secrets, you saw it got unveiled at GTR Festival in 2023. Sakamoto, Larry Chen, Mickey, and all that were all there for it, which was great. The car's physically finished on the outside, but I'm sure you can understand that even that was a 3-year process and cost a lot of money. To now build it is big bucks, right? The engine and the gearbox are the two bits that just cost huge amounts of money. Now, originally with the 33, we were going to try and make that car quite serious and be more of a track car. But however, as you know, we have a Group A tribute car now. So I've decided, with Jet 200 being such a serious time attack car, the Group A car will become a do laps, sort of like circuit, door-to-door, capable circuit car. So Project No Secrets has no need to be a track car, really. If it was, I wouldn't use it. And what I decided to do with Project No Secrets, and this is the first time we've probably really made this public, is make it essentially actually an actual street car. Half cage only, reclinable bucket seat, so you can just get in and drive it. But it'll still have a pretty serious engine. Now, one conversation was at the end of this year, we'd take the engine out of the 32, put that into Project No Secrets, and then put a billet engine into the 32 and take that to the next level. I think that's the smartest option. But what could happen in the meantime, it all depends what happens with PRP with their blocks, their heads. We might get a Greddy crate engine. We might work with HKS. I don't know. But I think the longest case scenario is at the end of the year or start of next year, we put the RB30 out of the R32 into that car. I'd love to put like an old school engine bay in it, like a HKS T51R, a Greddy T88, an old Greddy inlet, make it all chrome. And I want it to look like it's from the year 2001, but modern ECU, modern gearbox, etc. So the old gearbox from our 32, the stock casing sequential, is going to go in the R33. Like I said, billet sequential going in the R32. So the old sequential from the 32 will get handed down to Project No Secrets. So what will be the goal of Project No Secrets now? Honestly, to just be a sick car. Drivable, fun, looks awesome. You can take it to car meets, roll racing, whatever. It's not going to be the quickest GTR ever. I mean, it'll be a 9-second car, but I just want it to be half-cage, reclinable buckets, custom interior. I want it to be a comfortable place to be enjoyable to drive, and something that is just, it's immaculate, right? I almost want to be able to take it to car shows and car meets and enjoy it, right? That's what I want that car to be, because the 32 is just going to keep stepping up, and the Jet 200's time attack, and the other got the circuit car. The Group A car, I have all of the parts for that R32 GTR. They're just basically the car's waiting to be put together. It'll start off as a built 26 with cams, basic port work. I've got a Ross dry sump kit for it. We've got a Haltech Elite 2500 to go in. I'll have a stock gearbox, but probably like 4.4 or 4.6 diff ratios to begin with, until I can work out a gearbox option for it later. But the whole idea is I just want to get that together, make about 450 horsepower, and just do laps and then go from there. So it'll probably start off a bit more basic and then get developed from there. So, all right, what's up, Ray? How you going, mate? So that's the Group A car. We've got Bazza. What's happening with Bazza? Well, the problem with Bazza is we can only really use it at our own Motorcana when we run it at GTR Festival, or can only use it at Cootamundra. So it kind of sits around and then you use it for a bit. One option I've been thinking about is doing some Barra development, like potentially building that engine, testing some turbos on it, etc., and kind of using that as a test mule. And then maybe that engine gets thrown into something else later. We have a 6-speed and an engine there, or we put a body on it, or I don't know. Right now, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Bazza. Our Nissan Z, what's going on with that? We have installed some bits in it from Z1 Motorsports in the US to test out, and we will be doing a little bit more. But I feel like the Z, we're at that point, kind of like what happened with the BRZ when we sold that, and kind of like the Supra and even the Yaris. We're at a point now where if we do any more to the Z, we're probably going to have to pull the engine out, put turbos on it. And then things starts to snowball, get super serious, owes you a lot of money, and it's very hard to get out of the thing. So as I said before, some YouTube videos make $200 and you've invested $5,000 worth of your time into it. It's very hard to justify. The big cars, the 200, the GTRs, we can justify it, but it's a bit harder with the Z. So how much further we're going to take the Z? Well, I know I'm going to be putting a aftermarket cooling system in it for the track, do some more track work with it. And we are going to be comparing it to another quick project car we're doing that only you guys here will have heard about. And that is we have a manual Toyota Supra downstairs from one of our sponsors. We're building that as a very quick project car. And we're going to do the Z versus the Supra, both manual, head-to-head at the racetrack, and get a real comparison between two modified versions of those cars. So that should be pretty awesome. But yeah, that's what's going on with the Z. Like I said, though, with Bazza, someone asked, right now it's just sitting there. Nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't mind testing some turbos on it, maybe building the engine, see how we go. It's just one of those cars where it kind of does nothing, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you go, yes, let's do this, because you get a crazy idea. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Bazza right now. It probably could do with a surge tank to get help with the fuel system. I need to raise it, wheel align it, get the settings a little bit better. Beyond that, I wouldn't mind changing the brake system a little bit in that car to do what I need it to do. Maybe a double-sided hydraulic handbrake that can lock the front or the back, which makes it more fun to drive. And then, like I said, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of Barra development with engine, with testing some turbos and stuff, but we'll see what happens. Susie's Porsche, she's just enjoying it. At some point, I'll probably stop and just do a quick project car on that. We do have 2 other project cars that we've been working on that we don't own, but they're within our, I guess, circle of sponsors and friends and staff. We're not going to announce them yet, but there's 2 coming, and they'll just be like 4 or 5 episode builds, get done and move out. So what we're going to try and do in 2024 is do some more builds where we know what we're going to build. We build it and it's done and it's gone. So it might be a 5 episode build. We would look, it could be an S15, could be an RS3, could be WRX, could be anything. But the whole idea is we get it in, we do 5 or 6 episodes, make it faster and get it out. And then you release those episodes weekly so you can follow it on, rather than having project cars that take, our 32 has been going since 2011. So that's 13-year project car. So and you just never know what's going to happen or when. So we're going to try and do more consistent project cars this year. And like I said, we have a few already being shot. We're just waiting for a few more things to happen, and we'll be releasing them. I think probably in about 2 weeks, we'll release the manual Supra build we're doing with Uniclutch. So Z versus Supra is coming. So a lot going on with project cars. Will there be more? I'd love an R35 at some point, but I'll probably have to get rid of the Z. So I'll get a little bit more I want to do to the Z, and then I'll probably sell that before it goes down the rabbit hole too far. So, any questions there with the project cars before we move on? Will there be a test with the PRP RB26 blocks? Of course, there will definitely be that. However, played around with de-stroking a 3-litre back down to 2.5, 2.6 to autocrest or vibration decrease the crank throw so you can let her comfortably spin a bit higher. That's a good question, and I'll tell you why I haven't. Okay. Everyone always goes, 2.8 rev better. Well, hang on, you stroked a 2.6. So really a 2.6 revs better. And everyone always says a 2.8 revs better than a RB30. The RB30 with RPM's got more to do with the harmonics of the crank than it has to do with the rod ratio or anything like that. The proof in that is that the RB32 already spins to 11,000 in June 2, 10.5 in Goat 32. And usually what restricts the RPM is not the engine, it's the turbo. Mine revs to 9.5. And the reason it doesn't rev any harder is, back pressure and you run out of flow. It's a lot of flow at that RPM. Why would you de-stroke an engine that already revs to 10,000, right? I guess that's the theory of why no one really takes an RB30 and then de-strokes it back down to a 2.6 or a 2.8. Now, the Barra's a bit different. That thing doesn't like to rev. So they de-stroked it to get some RPM into it. So instead of revving it to falling over at 6, they de-stroke it and it falls over at 7.5, 8,000 RPM. But like I said, if an RB32 or even an RB36 can rev to 9.5, you're already outperforming almost any turbocharger you can put on there. A G45 1500 falls over at 8,500, right? The engine's already outflowing it. So why rev it harder? And that's, I guess, the easiest way to put it. There is definitely merit and science in the thought process of de-stroking an RB, but what we have now is already working, right? So yeah, that's what makes it hard. So I just thought we'd sidetrack onto that. All right, let's go to events. So as you know, GTR Festival Australia entries have now opened and tickets are on sale. It's at early bird pricing. Essentially, early bird pricing it's about 20, 30% off depending on the ticket. And we only run that for about 6 weeks. It's basically, supporters of the event can get in early, get a discount, help get things moving for the event, and help support the event. Because as you know, if we don't know how many people are coming, if everyone entered on the day, we wouldn't know what to bring or do or etc. And there's no cash flow for the event at all, right? So early bird is just a nice way for you guys to support the event. Get in early. The sooner you get in, the sooner you enter, the more motivated, I guess, we are, but nothing financially, but just more. The more entries there is, the more things there is to promote, the more things there is to advertise. We have more time to, I guess, spotlight the cars that are coming, and we can do more with the event the earlier enter. So early bird entries, GTR Festival in Sydney is the 24th, 25th of May. It's not a 2-day event for the public, but it is a 2-day event for competitors. So Friday during the day, we will allow any competitor to come in and park in their spot and hang out, but there'll be a private test day for the big cars. So the Don, Jun 2, all the basically 7 and 6 second cars will be doing a private test day on Friday. We haven't released that yet to enter, but there'll only be 20 spots. It'll be about $600 a car. But that's test day Friday. But like I said, traders, sponsors, competitors can all come in and be part of that, I guess, private event. But the doors won't open to the public till 6 p.m. 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. on Friday night is roll drags. Well aware that some people have expressed their concerns about roll drags versus roll racing, and that's completely validated. The roll drags have changed quite a lot of rules and sort of started developing that. I'm going to try and make sure I work with them to turn that into what we want. It's not a case of me thinking one or the other. I love roll racing, but I also support Sydney Dragway. We're only having roll drags just so we have another part of GTR Festival. It's another thing to do. Guys that don't want to drag race on a prep track, don't want to launch, or are going to get booted for running a sub 10, we have something cool to do Friday night. It adds a different feel and vibe to it. So we now have a Friday night, we'll have a DJ playing, etc. But essentially, GTR Festival Friday night is the same as Saturday. It's just roll drags is happening on the track, but we'll still have all the lights on. We'll still have all the traders there, cars there, elite show car section will be there. Everything will be there on Friday, but you can do roll drags. And the whole idea is it's fun, right? And because it's only GTRs and Nissans, it means that we don't have to worry about having 50,000 horsepower Evos there filling up all the spots. So everyone can have fun, and we'll probably have a couple of different categories for roll drags. I think we'll probably do like the American events where for roll drags during practice, we'll have your trap speed, and then essentially we'll use that trap speed to then split you up into groups. So for example, the big hitters, they might be top 16 or top 32 for the elimination, and everyone else can go in a separate elimination. And the other good thing about the drags is the track will be fully prepped, so two-wheel drives shouldn't really be at that much of a disadvantage. So roll drags could be really fun. But in terms of the rules for roll drags, they will just be whatever Sydney Dragway has as their roll drags at the moment. And I know they've been finessing those and getting them better and making them work a lot better to suit what the car scene wants. So I don't think we'll have to worry too much. But yeah, as far as I'm aware right now, any car can do roll drags, but we're not stupid. You can't bring a full-blown race car, but it's for street cars. So I think that's how we'll do roll drags, is like have a top 32 and then a bottom 32 to have the shootout. So that way people can race cars they feel comfortable racing. Split yours up. So that's Friday night. Like I said, Friday test day, Friday night roll drags. If you're entered in the show and shine, showcase, drag racing, roll, it doesn't matter. You can come on Friday during the day. But just remember, if you have a roll racing ticket, it only gets you in Friday night. That's an add-on ticket. If you have bought a drag racing ticket for Saturday or a show and shine for Saturday or a showcase and you want to roll drags, you buy a separate roll drags ticket for Friday night. But regardless of ticket, you can come in during the day on Friday, hang out, watch the private test day, probably get to meet some of the YouTubers we're bringing over and things like that. Have a good time, a bit more, I don't know, intimate, I guess. But we will be setting up in the pits during the day as well. So don't rock up expecting it to be a full-blown event during the day. It's when traders are setting up, teams are setting up, etc. Private test day, roll drags Friday night. You can leave your car overnight. We'll have security there. Obviously, we can't take complete responsibility for your car, but we'll have security there. The gates will be locked. Can leave your car there overnight Friday night and then come back in Saturday. And then the main event is as per usual on Saturday. Once again, there'll be drag racing that starts at lunchtime with multiple categories. We've finessed them a little bit this year. We're introducing a new Super Street category to go in between True Street and Pro Street. Essentially, True Street will remain the same. Super Street will be essentially cars that were True Street that now want to run on methanol, side pipe, 15-inch wheels, some extra mods, a little bit less weight, but don't want to go down to that 6-second bracket against Pro Street. So that's what's changing in the drag racing rules. Outside of that, pretty much the same. We'll have oil down entertainment with burnout cars, drifters, maybe a motorbike show. We're going to bring over a guest commentator from America is our plan to help spice up the action on track. If the event's as full as last year, we may even move the Nissan or Nismo meet to the far bank and give it its own complete car show that's separate, just purely due to space. Last year, we actually ran out of space. We had cars on the grass, traders on the grass. So that's how full the event was last year. And to make it bigger, we're probably going to have to open that other side. And I'd like the Nissan Nismo meet to have its own thing as well, which would be pretty awesome. There will be the normal show and shine. We're not going to have display and show and shine this time. It gets way too complicated. Just there's a show and shine ticket. And if you have a 32, you park with 32s. 33, you park with 33s. 34, you park with 34s. 35 with 35s, and old school stuff with old school. Unless you then want to park with a workshop, which you can. They'll have their own areas. And then the showcase is obviously in the main thoroughfare. We have a very limited spot of showcase entries. And out of those showcase entries, some will be invited to be part of the Elite, GTR Elite section. GTR Elite is things like Z-Tunes, R-Tunes, V-Spec 2 nerves with low kilometers, 400R, and then the really high-end modified examples that, essentially earn that word Elite. We'll have an Elite section, probably about 50, 60 cars like last year. And like I said, you buy a showcase spot. What are you getting with a showcase spot? You're getting a larger bay to park your car that's pre-reserved, so you don't just get put where you line up. It's pre-reserved, and then the judges can have a better look at the car for the awards. We're going to have those awesome billet trophies from PRP again. They were pretty epic. Hopefully we can up the prize money once again. It was great to have prize money for the elite awards for like best 32, best 33, etc. Thanks to the guys at Cultura. That was awesome to be able to do, and XMCG. So a lot of sponsors are starting to come back on board. Cranked Motorsport are going to be one of our presenting sponsors. The official announcement will be probably on Monday, but PRP are back as a naming rights sponsor. Heaps of companies. The requests for trade stand spots means we'll probably sell out of trader spots again. So the event's looking massive. Who are we bringing over from overseas? We're in talks with Larry Chen again. Mickey from Throttle wants to come again. Sakamoto wants to bring a car. We're obviously talking to Adam LZ. We're talking to all my mates who were at Hoonigan. Potentially Zach Merton's coming over with Mike Tornabay, who also is from Bro Science Life. Tommy Effier wants to come over and learn about Aussie GTRs. We're actually joking that we have a Hurt and Tommy have a booth, and one is line up to punch Tommy in the face, and one is line up to give Hurt a cuddle. So there'll be a cuddle booth and a punching face booth. I think that's pretty funny. But whether that happens, I don't know. So we're all in talks for them to come. There's a couple of people that have expressed interest in coming as well, but we'll see how that goes. So a lot of guests from overseas pretty keen to come, and obviously a lot of them will want to hang around afterwards, which means they can then check out the car scene, feature cars, etc. So all the workshops, obviously I've got to chat with some of them just to finalize a couple of small things with the rules, but every workshop should be back on board this year as far as we can see. So it should be bigger, faster, everything. I know Croydon have got some new cars coming out in the build. Matuk's got another big GTR coming out. I know Mac 34 wants to run a 6. Motorsport Mechanicals Red 33 is going to be pretty epic. B2R have got a bunch of big 34s in the build. Alex Birong hopefully can get that 32 drag car ready this year. We'll see what happens. JMA coming up from Melbourne. There's at a quick glance, there's a lot there. Just Engine Management got a bunch of GTR still getting built. So talking all the workshops, looks pretty strong. Like I said, huge support from traders. We'll have the kids area again. We'll have the traders alley again. We might move the kids ride section to up the top. We're not sure yet. But like I said, we ran out of space last year, which big thank you to everyone that came, because way more than we expected. We were sort of planning for 5,000 people, got 7. So let's aim for higher. So GTR Festival Australia looking very strong. Platinum Racing Products, naming rights sponsor. Cranked Motorsport's our first official presenting sponsor. But we should see all the traders and sponsors back, plus more. So we're in talks with a lot of people right now, so I'm pretty excited. But entries are open, about 20% off for early bird, and before it goes to the online price and then the on-the-day price. So buying right now supports the event, helps us move forward, make more things happen, have more confidence in what we're going to be able to pay for and do, because basically the bigger the event gets, the more cool stuff I want to pay for. I'd love to bring a 35 from the US next year, but it's a lot of money. So there's a lot we want to do with that. So there's a lot we want to do there. GTR Festival USA, we've just about finalized the categories. I've been speaking with Kenny from Jotech, Tony from T1, Jordan, Drivewire from AMS, Mac from the Shop Houston, and a few other people, and just discussing and finalizing the rules. But essentially GTR Festival USA and GTR Festival Australia almost have identical elements to them, except GTR Festival will be bigger in the US and go for longer, being a 3-day event. So we're going to have roll racing, qualifying and eliminations on the Friday at GTR Festival, but there'll probably be a private practice on the Wednesday or Thursday, because there's a whole bunch of Aussie cars that want to go over. We're in talks with probably 7 workshops or 8 workshops and about 15 different cars potentially looking at coming to the US. Everything from Jun 2, quickest in the world, a couple of pro mods with Zeus and the Don. There's a couple of cars in the build. I know Romanos with RHM says he wants to go. Mick Mansell said he wants to go. Josh Norris, Norrie Factory wants to go. My car's going. George Jajewski wants to take a car. Anthony Suds begging Adrian to take War GTR over. So, who knows? David Abreu might take Thor. And then we're going to take one group to World Cup final, probably the Pro Mods, and another group to SEMA. And they'll do their publicity before they end up at GTR Festival USA. So there's a lot going on with there. So with GTR Festival USA, once again, we will have a elite car show. We will have a show and shine for GTRs, and then we'll have a Nissan/Nismo meet. Hopefully they let us call it Nismo Festival with approval soon. It's basically open to all Nissans. And then they'll have the choice between going essentially in a show and shine, drag racing, or what we call a car meet. The car meet is essentially, I just want to park inside and be part of the action. And then we'll have Trader Alley. We'll have kids rides, And then obviously we got roll racing and drag racing. We're looking at setting up a rally course and an autocross / drifting demo course. There's an oil down entertainment area at Texas Motorplex we can use during oil down entertainment, drift cars, etc. We're going to have VIP tickets. I mean, mind you, VIP tickets are on sale for the Sydney one as well. We're opening the corporate boxes this year finally. So now when you buy a VIP ticket for the Sydney event, you get access to a corporate box to watch the drag racing, but as well as having lunch down in the VIP area down the bottom. You'll also get a full show bag with more stuff in it. So the VIP stuff is stepping up for Sydney. They're $200 each. If you work out what you get, it's pretty good, but we're only limited to probably about 120 of those. We've already sold a few, so if you want VIP for Sydney, get in quick. America will have VIP as well, the Champions Room with full catered food and everything, your own personal grandstand. And yeah, and obviously a lot of guests will be coming. Sakamoto has a car already in the US, so he will be at GTR Festival USA with that. Gretty, HKS, all the local shops I've spoken to, from T1, Jotech, Lee Spec, the shop Houston, even Calvo. Speaking of AMS and Sissio Performance, and Lee Bird, Monster Performance wants to go. It's like, yeah, Top Rank, and everyone we speak to in the US says they want to get behind it and come it. So we should see a pretty big event in the US. We're going to also work on, I guess, tourism packages for people from Australia that want to go as a spectator. You can do World Cup, SEMA, GTR Festival back to back. So we are working on that as well. So yeah, there's just so much going on with GTR Festival that we could probably talk about it here for half an hour. But the key points to take away is we're hoping to have the categories finalized for the US by the 1st of February. If we're not, it'll be very close so we can open entries. And then I think tickets will go on sale by the end of February. And then we'll also be at TX2K in March, and you'll be able to enter directly with us and get a driver's pack for free if you do that at TX2K. And we're probably even going to have a Skyline and GTR meet in Texas, probably at Waxahachie or at Ennis during TX2K, so we can meet the local car scene over there and do a bit more. So there's a lot going on with all that, but yeah, entries are open right now for GTR Festival in Australia, and also tickets as well, all at the early bird pricing, so you can get it cheaper. So there's a lot going on with GTR Festival. Next, Cootamundra. Yes, Drag Battle, GTR Challenge, and Ultimate Streetcar will be held in April. We will be releasing the date officially, publicly, and accepting applications by mid next week. There was just one thing we needed to sort out with essentially planning the date. There's 2 dates in April we're allowed to have. The airport is free, all that sort of stuff, but there's obviously a lot of other things that go on around that before we can kind of say that's the date. But the tentative date for that is the 11th to 13th of April. If it's not that, it's going to be the 26th and the 27th of April. So we will have the final date for Drag Battle, GTR Challenge, and Ultimate Streetcar next week. We want to push Ultimate Streetcar more this year because the whole idea is we want more cars to come out there, do the handling course, do the drivability, show off how good they are. And plus, it's really cool content seeing how awesome these street cars are. So Runway Thrash will be back in September. Once again, same deal. We have 2 dates available to us, and we will be announcing that probably by mid-Feb. We're just waiting on a couple of things we need to find out for our schedule in America. A lot of things, I like to get them booked early, but it's not always that simple. So yeah, Drag Battle, GTR Challenge, Ultimate Streetcar, we will have official announcement that you can apply to enter, get your entry form, etc. mid next week, worst case Friday next week. And then Runway Thrash, we'll probably announce that a couple of weeks later. Speaking of events, what other events are we going to be going to? We'll be at Tuned Next Level with Roll Racing, February 3rd, trade stand. Probably won't be racing, but trade stand hanging out there. We'll be at TX2K in March, 12 to 17 in Texas. Like I said, we're going to have a booth there. We're a sponsor. We're selling merch. We'll have a whole bunch of fresh new merch at TX2K. PRP will be there with us as well. And we'll also be holding a Motive / GTR Festival Skyline / GTR car meet while we're in Texas. We're trying to do the Optima battery search for the Ultimate Streetcar on April 20th. We'll be at the Versus Car Show in Melbourne, same weekend. Beat the Blue in June 29th. World Time Attack Challenge at the end of August. And then obviously we'll be at SEMA. We'll be at PRI. We'll be at Nismo Festival. So there's a lot going on with just what we already know we're going to be at. Beyond that, are we going to be doing anything else? Someone said, are there any plans to come to SA and use the Bend? I don't know. I still haven't even had the chance to go there at all. I'd love to find a time just to see if I can drive my 200 there, check it out. But I would like to get to the Bend, have a meeting with them, and then see what we can do. Yeah. Someone said, have you ever considered running an NZ-based Cootamundra style event? Yes, but I've got to go find an airport that lets you do it, and then there's the snowball effect of that. We are hopefully in the next 3 months going to have extra staff, and as extra staff become available, then yes. What other question we got? Someone said, is Matooks back at GTR Festival in Cootamundra? Well, you saw the video we did middle of last year. Yes, Anthony said he's back at Cootamundra and he will be back at GTR Festival. So I can only go off for all the boys, all the customers. We've all been talking and they're all excited. I obviously saw Murad, who took out the RB record and outright horsepower record at Summernats, 2,500 horsepower in the Mac Daddy VL. Essentially, that engine combination is going in Mac 34. He's keen. He wants to run a 6 in the 34 at GTR Festival and bring it to the US. So there's a lot of talks of that going on at the moment. So it'd be good to have everyone back and everyone racing head-to-head at GTR Festival PRP this year. What other questions we got? GDST deserves more support and product development. Larger customer base has these affordable, hella fun variant. I agree. I do want to do a GDST project car at some point and show people, basically take what I know about two-wheel drives from the Sylvia and what I know about the GTR with the RB, put it together and show people how to build a GDST. I actually do want to do that. It's just time and money at the moment. Someone else says come up to Townsville. Long way to tow a race car. Would love to see it, but the reality is a self-funded trip to Townsville to check out a track is difficult. If the local car community or a workshop there wanted to hire us to do some marketing work on a workshop and maybe drive a car that we feature, that is how we would make something like that work. I'd love to say that we have enough YouTube funding to just do whatever, but we don't. So when we travel, there's always something that helps pay for it. That's the reality of it. So if we wanted to go to Townsville, if a workshop up there wanted to get a car featured, let us drive it at the racetrack, track out that track. Who knows? We might see that and go, oh, yeah, we can do more with this. So yeah, someone asked GTR Festival USA, will there be spots for 32, 33, 34? Yes. And then the stagier would go, hey, if enough stagiers enter, we'll have a stagier section. If not, they'll just go in the Nissan section. Ray, you asked about CUDA dates. Wednesday will be final confirmation. There'll be obviously go out to all the shops first before it's public. So they all know. Will you have a section for us cars with intakes going over the valve covers? Yes. Motor guys should do entering a car in New South Wales. Potentially. Delicate topic lately. I hope to see. Yep, there'll be stages. What's your real name, Motive DVD? My real name, Andrew Hawkins. It's been on everything. Motive Video, we changed from Motive DVD. Jet Multimedia Proprietary Limited is our production company. Very strange, that one. What else have we got? Yep, you're right. Any plans on drifting? Yes. Yeah. I miss drifting. LZ World Tour did that. We're going to be working with Cranked Motorsport a little bit. So you'll see Rob drifting the BMW. Am I going to drift again? I muck around in Baza, but there may or may not be an S15 build or two coming over the next 2 years. It's just time and money. Between the events, corporate work, the main project cars, we're pretty time poor. If I had a compound and 10 staff, it'd be different. But yeah, our problem is just every day, it's just what job gets done today. And every week is which car gets worked on this week. There's only so much we can do. But yeah, I plan on building an S15 street car that can drift, circuit, and do everything at some point as a project car. One of our quick series ones. I spoke about that earlier, that we're going to have more cars where we build the car in a few weeks, do 6 to 10 episodes, and then it's out the door. Either we sell it. I hate the word raffle lately. Everyone will cringe when they hear the word raffle. If we did raffle a car at all, it would be for the reasons why I would have raffled it 5 years ago and why YouTubers that have always done it do it. And that is, when we buy a project car and we're done with it, I might have to pay 30 grand for a car. I've got to buy it personally. Yes, we get sponsor help, but we have to do a lot of filming, a lot of editing. The whole project could owe us 50K, right? Well, if we sell it and get 35K, I'm still 15K in the hole. But if we raffle it and we get enough support, well, then one of our viewers can win a car that they've got to watch get built by us. And then we just get the funding we need to move to the next project car. So for us, raffling a car, even when we sold them to LMCT, was purely just a way to fund the next project car. It's just a guaranteed sale at the end, right? Will we raffle our own car? Don't know. Will we raffle another one at LMCT? Don't know. Will we raffle them with someone else? Don't know. I'm friends with a few different raffle companies. So for us, if you see one of our cars end up with a raffle company, it is purely just, I just wanted to move it on and go to the next project car. And that's the easiest way to do it. So feel free, though, to put in the comments, like, what other project cars would you like to see us do? Like I said, we've got a manual Supra downstairs right now that you're going to see launch very soon, thanks to Uniclutch. I may or may not have another GTR project floating around we're doing with someone. I'd love an R35 personally. I'd love to do an Audi RS3 at some point. That would be pretty cool. What else? I want to do an S15 Silvia, like street, that can do street circuit, everything. That would be great. And we may get back on and do some more stuff with Bazza and do some Barra development. I'd love to do that. We may develop that Barra to the point where we pull that engine and box out and put it in something else. So yeah. Okay, what else we got, guys? Plans on drifting. Yep, spoke about that. Will I build a drift car? Well, there'll be a street car that can, and I may or may not have access to a S15 shell that I can build into an actual drift car at some point. I don't know. I'll see what happens. So I may have access to that. What do I think about the new GR Yaris? I think the interior is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But I also saw that they lowered the seat for better seating position, because every single person above 4'5" has complained about it. I think the front end looks better. Extra power is great. I hope the diff ratio changed. I didn't check because I much preferred driving the GR Corolla with the different diff ratios. But yeah, I don't know. I did what I did with the Yaris. Everyone says get another one, do it again. I'm like, well, I've done it. Everyone's parts have all caught up to it now. It's all pretty straightforward. So yeah. But I think the front looks better, but the inside's uglier. But I do like the fact it's got a better seating position. Someone said, come to SA, check out the DSA series. Same deal. I'd love to film every drift series and motorsport event, but if someone's not helping support that financially, it's very difficult for us to go interstate to go to events. Someone said, thoughts on GTS4s and them going head-to-head with GTRs? Well, they can. You just put the same running gear in a GTS4 and it will do the same thing. Any chance you could drag Reese McGregor? Man, I've heard rumors for the last 10 years about that car coming back out. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I really, really don't. Someone says, Fat TV, yes, we are coming back to Melbourne. I should be there the weekend of the 20th and 21st, in theory, for Versus Car Show, and also to do the Optima Batteries Ultimate Street Car at Calder Park. Adrian works for Summernats and MotorX and all that has basically said, you must come and bring you a GTR. And I said, cool, all right. Better go prove I can build the Ultimate Street Car myself, right? What else? Call out. Yep, cool. A Mines RB pulled apart to see what the magic formula is for getting the best response out of the street sport. I can tell you right now what is the secret to the Mines GTR. I've said this 100 times. I've put it in videos. If you watch the video where we did a Jet-Trag 6-speed conversion in our GTR, it will tell you straight away what the secret to the Mines GTR is, because I have driven Mines GTRs with different boxes and ratios and stuff in them, and I'll tell you what it is. Diff ratio. They put a 411 diff ratio into a 34, and it just totally changes the car. I preach this all the time. If you put a Jet-Trag in your 32, your 33, it totally transforms the car, because the 5 speeds are laggy, and even the 6 speeds in the 34, I think the gears are too long and they're laggy. But Mines didn't just put 411s in that car. They've put 4.4s in it. I've even heard rumors of a 4.6 diff ratio in that car. If you watch the video that Option did, where they're driving it around the circuit, turn the volume off, put your hand over the speedo and tacho, and just watch the road. And then if you know anything about what fast looks like and you watch the road, you go, oh, wow. Like, it's still quick, but it's not as mental as they make out. It's not. It's just diff ratio. I've personally seen a dynograph of a car that I built in the US with Adam LZ's 32 with a single turbo on it, and the dynograph showed that his car was laggier with that setup that he had. But when you drove it with the Jet-Trag 6-speed, it was responsive and awesome. I mean, 411s with a Jet-Trag will fix most setups. I've driven a car that had a T51R on it with a Jet-Trag with 411s, and even that was responsive. So all those people out there that say, oh yeah, Mines has some secret special formula, they build good engines, but they don't have some secret special formula that makes them super responsive. If you took off the low mounts and put a better single on, it would be more responsive. If you put a 2.8 in it and big head on it like we do here, it would be more responsive. It would rev hard. there are better engines being built in Australia than what they're putting into their cars. And I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying we've got another level to what Mines has, with the same amount of response, with extra 1,000 RPM and an extra 300 horsepower without any less response. It's diff ratio that did it. You put 4.6s in a stock R34, it'll feel like a weapon, right? So there's your answer. There's no need to pull a Mines engine apart. I've had people that have had Mines engines and whatever, or a car that they said came from there and they've pulled the engine down. There's no special sauce in there. There's no secret pistons. There's no extra compression ratio. They're just rods and pistons, stock crank. There's nothing special in the head beyond what we're already doing here. They built a solid, decent engine, but it's not. Man, they were doing that in 2004, right? Like it's 20-year-old what they were doing. And the Built by Legends stuff they're doing is fantastic. And I've driven a Built by Legends car, and there's no with a 5-speed in it, and it didn't feel responsive and magic. It felt like a laggy GTR, right? So that's the secret for you guys if you want to know about the Mines cars, is that specifically that Mines 34, it was diff ratio. And I'm going to put 4.6s in my Group A car with a 5-speed, and then hopefully get a jet drag in it later and show you that 400 horsepower with twin low mounts and 4.11s or 4.6s with a jet drag, and it will feel like an absolute animal. So that's the key to the Mines car. Next question. Macca's, KFC, Hungry Jacks. Macca's. Any funny stories about Gup and Power Cruise? Heaps, but I'm not going to tell you because that's not my place. What else you got? Yeah, true. All right. Did I miss any at the top? Someone said typical Air Force, always late. Come on, man. I started exactly at 6 p.m. What's my opinion on what's the best sequential box for a GTR? Oh, here we go. Well, firstly, to understand what is the best sequential box, you need to ask yourself, what are you trying to do? Trying to run the quickest number, hold the most amount of horsepower, or drive it around on the street? So a lot of people say to me, what's the best one to drive around the street? And the easy answer to that is, before you even mention a brand, a helical cut box will be quieter, and the design of the dogs will determine how aggressive the gear change can be or how difficult it is to drive normally, etc. From my experience of driving every single brand of box, I still kept coming back to the PPG being the best one in a street car, without a doubt. Helical cut gears, the dogs. Mine's been in my car 7 years. I just pulled it out into last year. They inspected it and then sent me photos of it and basically said, this thing's getting to the point where you've done so many kilometers on it, just physical wear will change the profile of a tooth over X amount of kilometers, right? They go, but other than like seeing that, but there's no damage to it. The dogs have no chips on them, no nothing. So sequential boxes can do thousands and thousands and thousands of street kilometers. It's race kilometers and racing that does the wear and tear that you need to rebuild for. So I only ever get my PPG box inspected twice in 7 years, and that's only while the engine was being out of the car and built, etc. And it's been mint. And I'm now switching to a billet one in our R32, but I had the factory casing one in our 32 originally. And after 7 years, I'm getting that box back, and it's going to go in our 33. So OS is also helical cut, but I've just found that the shifting mechanism isn't as reliable. It doesn't, like my daughter was able to shift my PPG 7 years ago when she was 5 years old, right? So she could shift that. That's how easy it was to shift. I just find it's the best. Now, Samsonis, fantastic box. The 5-speed version means thicker gears can hold more power. I dare say that the Samsonis has the runs on the board. It's obviously in War GTR and in Glenn's GTR, the 5-speed running in the 7.9. So it kind of has the runs on the board for that. But then again, Albin's also extremely strong in RHM, in Death Wish, in the 7s. So it does its work as well. But what you have to remember about those boxes is they are straight cut. They are designed for motorsport, and they have motorsport things that go with that. That's the noise, the servicing, etc. But they're all good. The latest Hollingers are fantastic as well. They have a torque rating on them that some of the big cars now are probably starting to work beyond that. But on the flip side, you watch 1,300 horsepower, 400 horsepower with, Hollingers still doing laps of the circuit in a GTR. So I don't look, Hollinger, Albin's, Samsonis. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pick a favorite. I have a Samsonis in my Silvia. I've got a PPG in my 32, and I've driven all of them. So I think they're all good, but it's going to sound biased saying I think the PPG is the best one for a GTR that drives on the street. But I'm going to stand by that. And I can only go off the experience of how many I've driven. I'm not saying the others are bad to drive on the street, although I wouldn't drive them on the street. I'm just saying if I had to pick and they all offered me one tomorrow and said, take your pick, in a street car, I'd put the PPG in it. So yeah, even the factory casing one. And just remember, like cars have gone 8.2 with the PPG sequential. I've gone 8.6 and done hundreds and hundreds of passes. So reliability wise, awesome. So there's that question. Someone said, please do a review of the RaceFab double A arm kit and subframes and why to go double A arm in an R32. I mean, well, technically an R32 kind of already is double A arm, right? But they're just changing the dimensions of it and the lengths, etc. It's about camber curve and suspension kinematics, really. Like, probably need an engineering thesis to really get into the nitty gritty, but will I review it? I don't know. RaceFab wants to send me one. I'll give it a go. Yeah. What else have we got question-wise, guys? Will be there a test with the PRP RB26 block? Of course they will. As soon as we have one available, as soon as we can get that PRP block, we will be testing the crap out of it. Pitcher or catcher? I'm a pitcher. One car from factory completely unmodified. If you had unlimited budget, what's your pick? Look, I used to be a Lamborghini guy, but I think I'm kind of got half converted. I drove a Ferrari F8 Tributo, but if I had any factory car where unlimited budget, maybe a Ferrari FXX or like something like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. One of the track special Ferraris could be pretty awesome if you had unlimited budget. But honestly, if it was a normal budget that was unlimited, i.e. like under $1 million, Porsche GT3 RS every day. If someone just said you can't touch it, can't modify it, take it, go, GT3 RS, 100%. When our PRP Cast 26 blocks is coming out, I don't know. Hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months. Stock bottom end RB30 or built 25. Built 25, please. Because RB30 stock cranks don't have the world's greatest harmonics, especially when it's a stock bottom end. Yes, you can balance and machine them and do it. Some might argue, just going with what I've seen personally. What's my daily car? A Nissan Navara, 2022 Nissan Navara. I was driving the Supra quite a lot, and then when I got the Z, I hate to say this, but just with the kids' school run and have to always do stuff, and I don't live far from work, so the Navara gets it. And someone said you skipped 2.8 stroke on all builds. Why? I did a built 2.6 bottom end, and I hate to say it, rather than test a 3 litre or a 2.8, I just figured let's just go 3.2. And we're the first people, I think, to ever test identical engine combination with a 2.6 block and then a 3.2 with a 30 block. I didn't change a single other thing, right? So I just figured a stroke of 2.8, I would have done that and then gone, I'm going to go 3.2. You have to bear in mind that it's not an unlimited budget. Will I test the 2.8 in something? Maybe, but I don't have a budget. And the sponsors aren't just going to go, here's another crank, here's another crank, here's another crank. We can't afford to test everything. So I had a choice, a 2.8 or a 3.2. And the guys from CID said, why don't you want to go 3.2? I said, I want to rev, and the 2.8 sounds better. They go, dude, a 3.2 will rev just as hard, and you'll enjoy driving it way more. So that's why we skipped 2.8 and went 3.2. Once you've gone 3.2 in a GTR, you can't go back. You can't. Like, you really can't. It's so much better. Yeah. Something different, ever considered an engine like the VR6? Probably not that specific engine, no. Just no experience with it, so very hard to try that into something else. I do want to try some Audi stuff at some point. Besides the 3.2 stroke, is there higher? Yes, but no, but yes. You can go to a 3.6 in a RB, but you need a billet block because the extra capacity beyond 3.2 is done with a bigger bore. But with a 86.5 mil bore and an RB30 block, you are a 3.2. However, as you've watched all our videos, we always say do not bore past 86.5 in a factory block ever, no matter what. Even if you test it, no matter how good it is, do not go over 86.5 and always offset bore. Once you go billet block, you can go 88, 89, 90 mil piston, and that's how you get to a 3.6 litre. So it's not stroke getting you to 3.6, it's bore. So the stroke stays the same as a 3.2. It's a bigger bore to go to a 3.6. In some ways, going to a 3.6, bringing the bore to stroke ratio back, it actually doesn't really hurt RPM. RHM has a 3.6. I drove that, and I was like, this is sick. So if I go billet block, I will be looking to go 3.6 in my 32 at some point, because if you're going to make more power and go billet block, go 3.6. You can have the same drivability and probably add another couple hundred horsepower. So that would be my goal. RB or 2J with both turbo and supercharger project You don't see anyone ever build twin charge cars these days. If the car is so responsive as it is, why would you need to then twin charge it? And here's the thing people always forget. An RB26 is laggy from factory, right? They do all their work after 4.5, 5,000 RPM. People try to make peak torque at 3,000 or 3.5, always break them without fail every single time, because they were originally designed, small capacity, big RPM. If you try and shove a bunch of boost from a supercharger in it at 3,000 RPM, you will crush the bearings. I've already explained this in some of my videos that we purposely pull boost out of the mid-range and move peak torque further up the RPM range to keep them alive, right? So you have to be careful that if you twin charged one, you'd probably just end up crushing bearings and wrecking the thing. So plus the complexity, the weight, and if it already drives good, who cares? And the other thing is traction. Sounds weird, but we pull mid-range out of some of these GTRs so they don't come on so aggressive, hit so hard, and torque steer or get wheel spin and throw you off the road. Jet 200, same deal. Like the gate opens at 14, 15, 16 pound, and we don't let it go straight to 40 pound. It kind of comes up to like 20, 25 and creeps up with RPM to give it a linear power curve, pull mid-range out. It doesn't feel as fast, but it puts the power down. So if you're asking why you would never supercharge and turbocharge one of these engines, mate, if it worked, smart people would have already done it. So the complexity, the cost, the difficulty of doing it, the fab, making it work properly, drive properly, it's just not worth it when you're probably just going to crush bearings and then throw the supercharger out anyway. So now compound turbocharging, realistically, in my opinion, works best when you're just at the point where you've reached the capacity of turbochargers, or the turbo required is so big that it's just too laggy. Like people with a K series, trying to run a pro mod, they can't. So they will do like a compound setup. You got to remember, compound setup, lot of fab work, a lot of extra weight, a lot of extra cost, a lot of complexity. There's no need to do it just for the hell of it. You do it if you actually need it, and you don't need it in a 32 or 34 GTR or whatever for a while. So, here we go. Good question. Is the HKS VCAM worth it, or just change for newer tech turbo? Does it also bring torque on more aggressive with the same bearing crushing issue? Yes, it does. However, you can pull timing out and pull boost out to make it not so bad, but you still have better throttle response and more drivability. Look, I'll be honest with you. I have done a comparison that I won't say who, where it was a car with a 2.8 and a VCAM with a HKS engine, with a HKS turbo up against a 2.6 that we built, Mickey's one from Throttle, and on roughly the same power up top, a little bit more from one, but not enough to kind of worry too much. The 2.6 was actually more responsive, even with the VCAM on and the 2.8, because the combination wasn't completely right because it had lower compression, turbo was a bit laggier, etc. And I saw the run without the VCAM on, and fuck, it was laggy, right? So is a HKS, the true way to test a VCAM is not to have it test it off then on, because when it's off, of course it's laggy. It's designed for high RPM power, and then you're advancing it heats for that low RPM power. But to test it properly, you've got to test it against a really good sorted setup that has a camshaft like a Tomei PonCam 270 or something like what I used to have, and then test that against a HKS VCAM and see the difference. Look, some people swear by it. I know Dartone custom modified it to come in earlier, but my concern is it can make the car more responsive. Yes, I've seen it work. I've seen it not work. I don't think there's a yes or no answer for me on the VCAM. I'd love to try one. I'm in talks with HKS to try one potentially this year, maybe on the Group A car because it's a smaller capacity engine and needs it. But people always say this, why don't you use VCAM, Andrew? And I always say the camshafts and the lift and duration that I want to use are so freaking big that I can't use VCAM because I can't advance things because I'll smash pistons into valves. So if you're running like 11.85 mil lift and 292 or 296 degree duration, I don't want VCAM. And plus I got a 3.2. So I just find that on a 2.6 or a 2.8, a VCAM with something making 600 is pretty rad. But as the power goes up, it becomes less and less relevant, and you run into that same issue. You could crush bearings. When is LG getting his big single? And look, here's the thing. When you build a GTR with about 600 horsepower, and I said this to a lot of YouTubers in the US we're working with, like, we're going to build one with Hurt. We're going to build another one with Mickey at some point, and Throttle, Adam, is when you build 600 horsepower and you've got a stock gearbox, it's pretty easy to get most of the parts you need. But once you step into that world of wanting 1,000 plus, like a serious GTR with like 1,100 horsepower and mid-8 second, like our car basically, you're not getting a free gearbox and it's $30,000 for a sequential. You're not getting machine work from a prime machine shop for free. Certain parts just won't be free. I should say not free because we earn them, but they won't be sponsored. So you have to accept the fact that okay, yeah, you'll probably do a $300,000 build for 100, but you've still got to spend 100, right? So when LZ wants to do a big single with 1,100 horsepower, we're ready when he is, right? So he did talk about he definitely wants to do one. He definitely wants to have a proper one. I think when we bring mine over there and muck around in that and have GTR Festival and the scene picks up with that stuff over there, that's when I think you'll see Adam finally do like a big single turbo one. But he has a single turbo on his 32. So he knows that the single turbo versus twin thing, he's always known. He went twins on the 34 because he just wanted to have that sort of OG JDM thing. So yeah, at some point we'll see him go a big one. Is 2024 the year we will see GTR quarter mile records with the new car CNC 26 heads? I hope so. That's the plan. As soon as there's a 26 head ready, it's going on Juntu and Zeus and potentially the Don with Matooks. And we want it on cars that run 5s with the R1 head. So can you do something different with the Skyline, develop a twin exhaust with one running each side towards the rear and an outlet at both sides of the rear bumper? The reason why people don't run at each side underneath is the straight 6. You got a drive shaft, tail shaft, drive shaft, whatever in the middle. So it's a pain in the butt. Could you do twin outlet at the back? Yes, but if all the bumpers you buy don't have twin outlet, that's why no one does it. Plus, it's just a whole bunch of weight. I just like having a 4-inch titanium straight through. What about the bigger petrol 6? I'm not sure what referring to. What YouTube videos your primary focus? YouTube videos my primary focus at the moment. Good question. Yes and no. Essentially, like I said, we're a production company, Jet Multimedia, do corporate work. We've done heaps of work you guys have never seen because we do it for customers. We've worked for Newlon, My Car Tire and Auto. We've worked for multiple tire and oil companies, furniture, whatever. And some of it you'll recognize, some you won't. But as our YouTube has grown and had more financial support from Sparesbox coming on board, Uniclutch, PRP, Cars from Japan, financial assistance to help make the YouTube side of the business now worth it, we do more of it. And you probably noticed when Sparesbox came on board, we started doing more YouTube. So I would love YouTube to be at the point where all I did was project cars and technical videos that are educational to teach you guys stuff. I would love to do just that, but we're not there yet. One way you can help, though, we do have a $4.99 a month paid membership on YouTube. It's not a scam. It exists through YouTube. It's the YouTube offers it. You can be a supporting member, and we're actually doing monthly parts giveaways. We've given away a turbo, a wastegate, Gretty merch pack. We're going to give away a Uniclutch. Like every month, we try and do a giveaway to our members. It's $4.99 a month. If 1,000 people did that, that's a few extra videos a month, right? Like that's how we see it. But yeah, YouTube is becoming more of our focus, but our events are very important to us as well, but they're linked together. So content for the channel comes from the events, promotion for the events comes from the channel. They work together a lot, but corporate work has become less of a focus in the last 2 years than it used to be as, I guess, the YouTube business grows. Merch helps. The reason most YouTubers make more money off merch than 10 times more money off merch than do off YouTube. Not us, because we barely have any merch. We'll probably expand our merch range this year to help do that. So, yeah. So YouTube is becoming more and more of our focus, but we're still not at a point where it's like that's the day job, right? No one's done it yet and would allow it to suck up out of there. Yeah, okay, yeah. What's your thoughts on 8 HP 70 Trans and GTRs? I would really like to try it. I had at one stage thought of putting that in the Gold car and then putting the sequential in the Group A car potentially. I don't know. I'd love to try one. I think the whole auto versus manual thing, right? If you've driven a 1,1300 horsepower GTR, H pattern and manual driving them, just man, they're wild, right? And you can't even keep two hands on the wheel, and you can barely get the thing straight. An auto helps tame it down. It's more consistent with the launch. Launch is better. It's less aggressive on the drivetrain, drive shafts, etc. Autos have benefits, but they suck to cruise around in. In theory, an 8 HP with a lock-up converter in it and paddle shift means you can drive more like you've got a dual clutch transmission around town and launch like an auto. If it can do that, if you can have a GTR launch and then drive around like paddle shift with a dual clutch, I think the 8 HP is a winner personally. I'm not an avid must be manual, hardcore, crazy. If it's not a H pattern, I don't want it. I think people that think like that need to broaden your horizons and understand that different cars suit certain transmissions. I'll sidetrack slightly. Yaris, yep, had to be a H pattern manual. BIZ, yep, has to be a H. You need the driver involvement because the car's slower. But at no point have I driven a Porsche GT3 RS around a racetrack and thought to myself, mid corner, oh, wish I had a synchro box to slow me down. Like, if the chassis is good enough and the car's fast enough, then focus on the driving or the track or the line or the time rather than trying to shift a synchro box, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know why people persevere with synchro H patterns as some type of rite of passage to say that they're more manly than someone else or whatever. But hey, if that's what you want, I don't care. But I just don't tell other people that's what they should have. I think an 8 HP GTR with 900 horsepower would be sick. Or 1200, 1300, whatever. As long as because every time I drive a Power Glide or a Turbo 400 GTR street car, that droning, dull noise, and they're great when you launch them and you're all in, but when you cruise around in them, man, it just I do not enjoy cruising around them. But at the same time, if I had an auto like obviously what was in the Supra, they're awesome because you got short ratio gears, you got you got heaps more gears to go through. You can go paddle shift, you can shift fast, you can downshift, you can drive like a dual clutch and then launch like an auto. And I think I'm very keen to try an 8 HP. And I know the guys that do the kit here and have been showing that off. I'd love to work with them and potentially put one in Project No Secrets and maybe put the sequential from Project No Secrets in the Group A car. I don't know the answer yet, but I guess we'll find out. But I really, really want to drive an 8 HP GTR, but a big one. Will the PRP billet four drive sump be tested by you on one of your cars in the works? At some point, yes. The reason I didn't put a billet four drive sump on my 32 to go to America is all to do with relatability to our viewers. So right now it's a cast block, has a modified sump, it has a factory tail shaft, factory drive shafts, factory rear diff, factory panels. So a full interior, there's 76mm turbo, there's a cast block. It's more relatable. When I go billet block in my 32, probably next year, I will put a four-wheel drive sump on it. But if you want to know about testing, that four-wheel drive billet sump was on Extreme GTR and it's been on Jun 2 for a few passes. So that's some pretty good testing, in my opinion. What size cams did you have in your last 2.6? When it was a built engine, 2.6, and it had fully ported COD, race ported head, oversized valves, double valve springs, etc. I had 280-degree cams in it with 11.25 mil lift. And when I went to 3.2, I upped that to a 292-degree camshaft with 11.85. Don't be scared of big camshafts, people. I had 270 in a stock head with Tomei, the Pond Cam Type B Special Edition. I tell everyone, don't be shy. Get the biggest camshaft in there you can. But there's obviously a point at which you go, well, if you've got standard size valves and you're not ported, there's no point, right? If you have a standard port, standard valve, go a valve spring, single valve spring with a 270-degree duration camshaft. My attitude with GTR heads is you go drop-in cams and valve springs and that's it, or go all in. Don't bother with anything in the middle. Don't bother with a light port with standard valves or oversize on one side and a 272. And my head guy said it'll be more drivable. And what you said, shut up. Go drop-in cams with valve springs or all in. In the middle is a total waste of time. I used to believe that, I'd lose drivability by having a full race ported head, oversized valves and machining for a larger camshaft with huge lift, huge duration. It didn't. RB loves it. Didn't lose any bottom end, didn't lose any mid-range, and just picked up everywhere. So don't be scared of camshafts. And anyone overseas who's talking to an engine builder or a head shop that hasn't done GTRs, tell them Andrew Hawkins said, don't be scared of going big, mate. All right? Just put a big cam in it. Don't piss fart around with RBs with small camshafts. That's what I feel. Thoughts on LZ Safari R32? Loved it. He actually called me about it and had a chat. We talk a lot. I don't need to get on the internet and tell everyone and let everyone know, but he called me up and we had a chat about it and he wanted to see my thoughts and how I thought it would cope with what he wanted to do with it. And we talked about a few things and I love it. It's different. It's not like he went and got an immaculate street car that he paid 50K for and turned it into that. He grabbed his shell off Tommy, right? So great. Good on him. I liked it. Can you make Series 2 GTST headlight ducts? Technically, you can sand down our R33 ones to fit Series 2 if you really want to. Yeah. So Have you built any cars specifically for drifting yourself? Yes, I have. You can look on our channel. We built an S13 Sylvia specifically for drifting, but I think I sold it like 13 years ago. So yes, I have built a dedicated drift car and used it for 60 different track days. So I'm not anywhere near being anywhere a pro drifter. I have done a couple of comps, but yeah, have done that. I'd like to build another one. Did I ever attend CUDA when the Barra 32 has been there? Or I did attend because it's my event, so I have to be there. And yes, there is videos of the Barra one, and I did drive that Barra 32. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Dennis's car from Grimm. So Quaife front diff only, or are other brands like Nissan 1.5Y good enough to keep them going straight beyond 600? The theory is that any front differential to help stop torque steer is going to help keep it going straight. Every Nismo differential I've ever tried has been fantastic. I haven't tried a front one. The reason I recommend Quaife to everyone, I have no association with Quaife whatsoever. I pay full price for my Quaife front LSDs, but the advice that I give can only be from experience, right? So if you want to ask me what front LSD works, I can tell you I know the Quaife works. I've driven cars with Nismos and they were great. I drove one with a Kaz that was terrible, and I've driven ones where they've put a two-way in by mistake and they're shit. But a Quaife 1.5-way, I've seen them cop huge amounts of power. I've seen them do everything you'd want it to do, and it still drives like you can't even tell there's one in there when you drive it around on the street. So for me, that's why I always recommend it. I'm sure a Nismo 1.5-way front would probably be fantastic to drive. Will it cop the power and cope what the Quaife does? I don't know. Barra R32. Yep. I want more power like that. Yep. Look, mate, there are 6 second GTRs with Quaife front LSDs in them. If you're talking about a rear, everyone now is going to that 8.8-inch diff, which PRP have now made a billet diff casing and hat, and staying IRS with an 8.8-inch diff. That's the new big thing. Basically, any GTR in the 7s or quicker is going to end up with those in it now because it's more reliable than the R200. But with the R200 rear diff, if you're asking what differential do I recommend for the rear diff, definitely a Nismo 1.5-way for the back. 100%. But I just reshimmed the factory one, so I'm not too worried about that. What have we got now? Do you think Louis' Barra Shaker would be received in the States? I don't know. I hang around the GTR and import scene more than anything. I think you'd get some people that look at it and just go, I don't know what it is, being a Falcon, but being a Barra would make them go, well, that's cool. I think it would be a cool car to have at certain events, definitely like street style events where it took a lot of people by surprise because Louis dialed that car so good. It's so good on the street. So I think it could happen. Yeah. What else we got? I had double Supertech springs in my 2.6 and dropped a valve after 300 kilometers on the motor. Is that common to happen? No, it's not common at all. It's common if it gets built wrong or something happens, but I've got Supertech double valve springs in mine and I've revved it to 9,500. I've had an over rev to 10 in first gear on the limiter when it popped out of gear, and it did. That head was on the car for the 2.6 engine and the 3.2 engine, so it's done 7,000 kilometers, probably 500 or 600 passes, made stupid power. So I actually just had the head off the car when we did the new gasket. I had the head off. I actually sent it away to get inspected and looked at, and I said, service it if it needs it. And they inspected it and said there is nothing wrong with it and put it back together. So yeah, if you've dropped a Supertech valve to 300 Ks, it's not the valve's problem unless it was a faulty. You can prove that it was a bad batch or whatever. But in theory, there shouldn't be any reason for that to happen. What's your next NZ event you're attending? I don't know. I'd like to go to GTR Festival New Zealand again, but that's not up to me. Like I said, we don't have a budget at Modi Video that, like, if I flew to New Zealand, took a cameraman, flew to New Zealand, was there for 2 days to film an event and edited it, be a $10,000 exercise, and the YouTube revenue would probably be $200. So we have to get sponsors, workshops, etc., events to pay to take us places. There are some events I'd go to of my own free will here to be part of the scene, promote the scene, but obviously once you leave Sydney, someone has to help. I'd love to come back for. I've never been to Foreign Rotary Nationals in New Zealand. If Azar wants us there, that'd be awesome. I'd love to go. I love going to New Zealand. But yeah, Foreign Rotary Nationals, I'd love to go. I'd love to go to GTR Festival New Zealand again. I had a great time last time. I was great people. Ian from SD High Tech was an awesome host while we're there. I'd love to go to that again. So hopefully we get to go. What's the basic rundown of a setup for a 650 horsepower Stadia 260 RS? Would love a Garrett. Do not put a G37 770 on your RB26. Put a G35 on there. The G30 rear housing is too small. The wheel is too small. It will choke your RB26. Power will fall over early, and you might as well have an RB25 in the thing, right? 26s like to rev. They need to breathe. They need to breathe up top. You have to remember that flow is not always based on horsepower, right? With the rear housing, torque, as we know, power is just torque by RPM, right? Torque is a momentary force acting over a distance, right? So how much force is pushing down over a distance? So how many newtons over a meter in circular force, right? A torque. Power, though, is torque times RPM. Well, gas flow is pounds per minute. So it's a rate of flow, which is based on RPM. So an RB26 spinning at 9,500 RPM, making 600 horsepower, is going to flow and need more gas flow ability through that rear housing than, say, an LS or a Barra that revs to 6 to make the same power. So that's why I always tell people, do not put a G30 on your RB26. You will choke the shit out of it. Put a G35 on it. Always. What's the plan with the T51R? All right, I'll grab it for you. Yes, I have a HKS T51R. It's been sitting on my bench. I joked about putting it on Bazza as a joke because I thought that'd be pretty cool. But there's a very high chance it could go on Project No Secrets if we put the RB30 engine or whatever out of my 32 next year into the Gold Car. So it's either going to end up on Bazza as a joke or it's going to end up on Project No Secrets because, like I said, that car's no longer going to be some crazy track car. It's going to be an awesome street car that you can enjoy. So, yes. Awesome. Any plans to do any drag challenge events outside of CUDA in Australia with the 32 GTR? Look, it's going to sound like an excuse alert. The reason I don't really want to do a drag challenge style event, even though I think my 32 is perfectly capable of driving 5,000 Ks, I just don't want to put 5,000 Ks worth of wear on everything, to be honest. And I just don't want to sit in a bucket seat with harnesses and no aircon for an hour, 5-6 hours at a time. It's not that I can't or it can't do it or I wouldn't. I don't know. I just don't have. If I really wanted to do a drag challenge, I would have done one already, right? I probably would have done it with 600 horsepower and as a street car, full-on street car. I just don't really have any interest in a drag challenge event. I mean, if a sponsor came to me and said, we'd love you to do it, or the event approached us and said, we'd love to have you there and cover it and we'll help you do it, maybe. But I just, plus it's a week and a lot of prep work. It's like 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. It's very expensive exercise for us to do it as part of our business, right? It's not like we have a normal job and then we save up the money and go on holidays to do it. It's a lot of effort for us to do like a drag challenge style thing. So I'm not sure if I would do it. Maybe not in that car anyway. I'd love to do it in a twin turbo R8 or something. That'd be sick. But I'll go back to that person. What's a basic rundown of a setup for a 650 horsepower Stadia 260 RS? All right. You're going to put a G35 900 with a 101 rear housing if you're on 85 or a 0.81 rear housing if you're on 98. You're going to use an RTEC or a 6-boost manifold, both super responsive. You need a 100mm thick intercooler. Standard inlet manifold works perfectly fine. Even the standard fuel rail works. You're going to need a 1650cc Bosch stainless injector to run 85. And obviously, surge tank fuel pumps. Whatever fuel system you decide to use, you need an aftermarket ECU. Definitely put an oil cooler on the car. Here's the next bit. That power level you will need, if you have a standard engine right now, you will need an aftermarket head gasket and studs. And I would put at least a Tomei Poncam 260 in it. Will you need valve springs at 650? Depends on the dyno. You can, if you're at like 27 pound of boost, you could probably get away with standard valve springs. If you're going to go over that, you have to put single valve springs in it. Do you need to touch the bottom end at 650? I don't think so. If it's tuned properly at 85 and you look after the car, and if you have a long nose crank, which a Stagia 260 RS RB26 does, you can keep a stock oil pump, which won't increase the flow. So then you don't need the crazy oiling system. Here's the reality everyone gets wrong. Here's another quick tangent. This is the reality with RB26s. If you have a standard oil pump, it flows a certain amount. If you change the oil pump to have more flow, it will empty the sump. But that's why you need the enlarged sump. And the reason it will empty the sump is more flow is not only how much it's sucking out of the sump. So obviously then trying to push it up into the head. Now, here's the thing about how oil getting trapped in an RB26 works. Even if you have restrictors and even if you have head drains and everything else, you can't fight the fact that the drains through the head and the drains at the back of the head are too small to flow the oil back fast enough. But here's the other thing you forget. You got a high flow oil pump. You're at 4,000 RPM part throttle. The oil pump doesn't know you're at part throttle, doesn't care, just knows you're at 4,000 RPM. So you're filling the head up with oil. And now your head's filling up with oil. It can't drain down fast enough, right, as it is. Now you're in vacuum, so you still are getting some head drain. But as soon as you touch the throttle and you got boost, what happens? Blow by means block fills up with pressure rises. Now your head drain doesn't flow back anymore. It's stuck in the head. Now your catch can that goes to sump, same deal. It's blowing back in there. So you got to think about that. When you're under boost, all of these drainage devices are blowing back into the head, right? And then where do they want to go? Out the cam cover. And now your high flow oil pump has put so much oil into the head, it now can't drain. It has to go somewhere. It's going to go to a catch can. I've seen so many people try to come up with solutions to stop it all. It's just how it is. If you want to circuit race the car, dry sump it. If you want to drag race a street car, just make sure you've got a big catch can in it. And then as soon as you get off the throttle and you've got vacuum again, everything can now drain back to the sump. That's why cars I see like at Mount, go to Fuji Speedway and flat pin the whole way down the straight, blow an engine. Because the oil can't come back. It's breathing and it's just draining the sump. And you can drain a sump by the end of the run. So that's the big thing people don't get right with that sort of stuff with GTR. So if you're going to do that 650 horsepower Stadia 260 RS, if you build the engine, honestly, that power level, rods, pistons, that's it. I wouldn't even bother building a big head for it at that power level. I wouldn't start looking at building a head until you want to go like, your minimum is like 750 and then you're going to push up to like 800-900. So, but 650, yeah, I wouldn't. So there's your combo. Direct clutch, twin plate clutch in the thing. Maybe a front LSD, but if you're not pulling the engine out, don't worry about it. Is it worth bringing a 32R billet block dry sump? All the work's done to Sydney roll racing from Perth. Sure. Come fight the big boys, all right? Bring it to Cootamundra too. Thoughts on M4 engine, S58, etc. Looking to get one of those soon. Love them. Think super engines are awesome, and apparently the S58 is better than the B58. What BMWs and what Supras are doing in cars that, just got rods and pistons in it, basically, is incredible. I think they're amazing. All those 2J people, well, 2J's the best. What? Because one with concrete in an iron block does that power. Come on, man. Like when you're talking about 1,000, though, the drivability and the reliability and what you need to do it with a B58 and obviously S58 is awesome. So thank you for telling the Americans that there is no such thing as an N1 headlight. There's also no such thing as an N1 crank either. So stop selling N1 cranks, people. They're just 26 cranks. There's no such thing as an N1 crank. They got relabeled that because Nissan likes to make extra money by putting Nismo labels on things. So it's the same, all right? What other weird things do you want to know about with GTRs with that stuff? Would you build a GDST and drag race it? If we buy a GDST this year or GTT or GDS25T or whatever and do an RB25 or probably an RB25 one, to be honest, I'll let you guys decide. What do you want to see us do with it? Do you want us to build the ultimate all-rounder that can drag race, circuit race, drift, street drive? Do you want us to see us go down one particular path with it? Yeah. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Will the PRP heads be able to work with HKS VCAM? PRP are working on their own VCAM thing, but now that we're doing more work with HKS and Greddy, we may not. But yes, in theory, the normal head will work with VCAM. The other one, probably not, because the head's way too big. Do you see more jet track develop in the future, especially with the rise of the US R34 market? I hope so. I hope someone makes a dog engagement gear set 6-speed for the R34 jet track. In fact, I'd just please some gearbox company in the world find another solution for a 6-speed for a GTR that isn't 18,000 Australian dollars for a jet track. Like, please, someone make, I would say 256, but they have double overdrive. Fourth is 1-to-1. We need a 6-speed where fifth is 1-to-1, like a CDO9 that we can put a transfer case on the back of and do adapter that can handle up to 1,000 so that street car guys have a 6-speed option. Someone please make it. I think that because jet trags prices are going to go through the roof because we're at a 34. It's not the support there. If someone makes another gearbox, it'd be awesome. Do you think the GMR market will drop? No, I don't. I think localized areas will go stagnant. The Australian economy is different to the American economy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is enough demand for not enough cars. It's not going to drop. Will it do a bit of this, yes, but the overall trend will still be that. I don't think the arse is going to drop out of it. I think like there are, like, for example, over Christmas, the expensive GTRs in Australia are getting hard to sell right now because of the market, the economy. But globally, they probably won't be, and it might just be that might last 6 months and they're back to normal. I think some things have plateaued a little bit for now, but I certainly can't see the arse falling out of it completely. The cars are too good. The market's too good. Car owners all want them. The moment they drop in price, someone's going to snap it up and then bump the price back up. So I'd love to see a workshop tour with Robbie Ward. I don't even know if he's still operating. I haven't heard from him in a while, actually, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I'd love to catch up with him in New Zealand, though. I really would. Hi, Andrew, an R33 GDST with a stock 26 DET rear-wheel drive. Stock GDST 5 with an R200 diff Nissan 1.5 way. I was thinking of fitting a stronger box. Is a Nissan 350Z 6-speed CDA1. Yes, try it. I'm not saying it's drastically stronger than 25, but here's the thing. When you shorten the diff ratio or gear ratio, you actually help make everything work better. You don't labor the engine as much, so therefore the engine holds together better. I think the Jet-Trag 6-speed in my R32 is probably what helped keep that engine alive on 770 wheel horsepower and 144 mile an hour on a stock bottom end. And also having shorter gear ratios is easier on the gears too. And yeah, you're not loading things up as much, not as much shock loading on a gear change, not dropping off boost as much. I think I would definitely try CD09 behind an RB26 two-wheel drive. In fact, if I build a R33 GDST, whatever, that's probably what I'll put in it. Who is going to step up and make Get-Trag gears and service parts? Oh, I hope so, man. Any more info on PRP VCAM, PRP Tech? Not at this stage. 10K AUD to spend rear-wheel drive and manual. What am I buying? Ooh. What can you even buy for 10K that's two-wheel drive anymore? Every V8 Commodore Ute has gone up. 350Z is even really getting hard to find. Even old 86s, like the first of them, are like 10K is not buying you much. Because of familiarity, if I had to go buy something with 10K tomorrow that's rear-wheel drive, yeah, it's going to be either an 86 or a 350Z, I think. Just familiarity with Japanese stuff means that's what I'd go for. I wouldn't go for like an old Beam or anything like that. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I just don't know the car well enough. Are you Falcon? Sorry, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't. I get why people are getting them and turning them into drift pigs and having fun with them, and that's totally fine. I just don't think I could do it. Do I still have the Ute from the build-off? No, that was Spares Box's Ute. I did have it for a while. They've got it back. Alloy Tech Combo with an eBay Turbo. Look, a 10K rear-wheel drive to me, I'm looking for how good the chassis is more than I'm looking for how good what the engine can do. So I think that's why I'd always go for a 50Z or an 86. 86 chassis are actually awesome. Awesome chassis. They really are good. Do you do some custom builds on Skylines or mods for customers? No, I don't. We're not a performance workshop. I don't even have time to build my own cars, let alone someone else's. I had thrown around the idea, but you have to say, okay, I'm going to go back to like the business side of things, right? As an event promoter, my job is to put the most amount of eyeballs onto the cars, workshops, sponsors, their parts, etc. My job is to promote workshops and companies at these events. Now, if I go and open my own performance workshop, I am now competing against my customers. And that's why I've never thought about it at all. I've been offered to be part of workshops. I've offered to be, half owner in return for marketing and all sorts of things. I've always said no because my belief is it's my job to promote these workshops and work together to have a better car scene. And I can do that via my YouTube channel and our events. If I open my own shop, I'm shooting myself in the foot straight away. And then also you guys are going to see it as, well, of course you're going to promote your own shop on your YouTube channel to get work, right? We'd always be right. So I think that, yeah, I that's why I don't work on other people's cars. Plus, I got a lot of mates that own workshops, and I've heard all the stories and what can happen and what can go wrong and everything. So no, we modified our own cars. We don't work on others. I have had project cars that don't belong to me where I've done them from a sponsor, but like Spares Box paid us to build that ute, right? So I built it. Uniclutch have a Supra for us to build. Now, but luckily with that one, they let me choose the parts within a I guess a framework. But if someone comes to me and says, build this car for us and here's what we want, I'm going to go, nah, I'm not interested, because Motive has a reputation of we choose the parts, we choose the build, we build it, it works, we develop it, we test it, and we have our way of building project cars that I don't want to change. So I'm not going to sell out and just say to someone, here, can you build this, I don't know, whatever car for us? And these are the parts I want on it because I need to promote these companies. I'm going to go, happy to use some parts to promote some companies if they work. And let's talk about that. But I would never just be told how to build a car. I just don't want to do it at all. Motive is test parts, test the car, develop the car, race the car, show you guys what works so you can learn from it. If I can't do that, I'm not interested. So that's why we don't build for other people. What else we got? How did you get all the knowledge in GTRs? Experience. That's it. And being a total nerd. I studied engineering in the Air Force, which is why my brain has the ability to understand every concept there is to do with engines. I go out of my way to go and meet engineers, engine builders, tuners, and because I can speak the language and understand what they're telling me, I can absorb all that information. And then my job is to then process that information and deliver it to you guys. So there's the theory side of everything I've learned, and that is because my brain just has a thirst for knowledge. So every time I'm at a workshop or an event with GTR guys, I am asking questions and looking at combinations. And, I commentated dyno comps for 2 years and got to see so many combos. So learning from magazines, learning from my peers. So there's all that side of it, which is the asking for information and researching, etc. And then there's the doing it part. And the doing it part is obviously our own car, our own GTRs, and have just physically tried it. So and I'm just a GTR nut. And so I keep a lot of that information, and I'm always trying to learn stuff, and I'm always around them, and that's it, just obsessed with it, right? So that's where the knowledge comes from, is combination of research as from the age of 18, I guess, when I've always been into them. And then, constantly working with GTR builders, tuners, etc. around the world, working with engineers. And I take what I learned from other parts of motorsport. I've met, supercar engine builders and aerodynamicists and things like that. And I take that information and try and bring that back to the GTR scene. So yeah, but the real reason is just I'm obsessed with GTRs. I have a GTR tattoo on my back and I love them. That's it. That's really all there is. Are you going to be testing the new Pepe cast blocks? Yes, at some point. You are a spiritual owner at COD. Yes. How much does COD charge per hour for modifications to Skylines? I don't know what their current rate is. In Sydney right now, it's anywhere between 160 and 280 per hour at different shops. So I'm going to stay out of that one. I would rather help put together that build series with Sparesbox when he was at eBay Australia. Awesome. Say thank you for that. That was a really fun series. And they let me do what I wanted to do with that. It was awesome. You guys had a new Z. Do they not seem to be non-existent compared to when the 50Z came out? Did it flop? Did it flop sales-wise? Well, that's half Nissan's fault for a very poor release schedule. They couldn't. I had one on order, and I said I'd be at the front of the queue. Then all of a sudden, I was told 2 years, and then I bought a Proto secondhand. I thought the market would prop and go hard. Barely anyone's modifying their Zs. I think all the ones that got modified in the first week, and then since that, I've seen bugger all done to them. I'd love to do more with the Z, but if it doesn't get enough views on the channel, why would I throw heaps of effort at it? And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, people that like Zeds, great. You like them. Me personally, I loved my Supra, but the Z, I'm not driving it enough. I personally, if you want to ask my personal opinion on the Z, I think the people that like them love them, and that's great. But it's not. The car doesn't suit me. It's a bit too. The suspension's a bit soft. Can't handle it. It's some of the electronics don't let you do things with it. It's a GT style car, more of a sports car guy. Loved the Supra Z, and going to the Z made it harder. So it sits there. Honestly, it just sits there with a car cover on it inside, and I drive my ute to work. And being manual means in Sydney you don't often want to drive it, and having 2 seats means can't do the school run in it. So I end up not driving enough. I'd love a 35 GTR in the driveway now. I finally decided I want one. So if anyone wants to buy the Z, throw me an offer. I'll sell it. I've done everything you can do to it without pulling the engine out and putting turbos on and going crazy and going down the rabbit hole. It's fast car. Brakes good, handles better than does everything better than factory, but I'm not gelling with it, if that makes sense. It's not that I think there's anything wrong with it that makes it a bad car that specifically. It's just more. I've owned cars I've had an attachment to, and I've owned cars I haven't. I had a TT once, no attachment. Porsche 997 because it was auto, didn't get an attachment to it. Supra got an attachment, loved it, loved that car. My GTRs obviously huge attachment, but yeah, some cars you just don't get an emotional attachment to, and I think the Z for me is just not really getting that emotional attachment. So if someone wants to buy it, please go, because I'm sitting here going, what do I do with this thing? And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole when I've got so many other projects I'd rather do. So I'm kind of stuck. I'd like to put a few more cooling mods in. I've got camber arms to go on it, go back to the track, get a lap time out of it. And that might be it for the Z. It might get raffled if a raffle company wants to buy it off us, or it will get sold, one or the other. How much power will need to be competitive in roll racing? In a GTR, 1,500 plus. In a Lambo, minimum 1,450, 1,500 as well. Evo, minimum 1,100 to get competitive. And that's just to be in the top 8. That's not to win it. Everyone knows that GTRs are going up in value, but will GTSTs go up too? Yes, they will be dragged up with it. That's just the nature of it. If you can't afford a GTR, you want the next best thing, you're going to get a GTST. What else we got? It's been amazing watching you learn the GT. Thank you. It has been a pretty wild journey over the last 20 years of learning GTRs. All Skylines have gone up. Yep. What's the best value for money mods for GTR? Engine work, gearbox, or suspension and tires? Oh, man, that's it's a big one. I've always got little tips I tell people. If someone says you don't need adjustable cam gears, shove them up their butt and they tell them that they're wrong. Don't touch my car. Adjustable cam gears and an RB26 are very important up until you have camshafts that are so big that you no longer do it. So what category would a 260 RS stage fit under at an event like CUDA? Drag battle. It can compete in drag battle, and it would compete in 6-cylinder all drive class. Although personally, if someone said to me, I really want to compete in GTR Challenge in a Stagia 260 RS, I'd probably just let that happen because it's a GTR underneath. It's just heavier, right? So yeah, if someone wants to bring a 260 RS to CUDA, they can compete in the GTR category. I'm cool with that. Thoughts on more ignition style, longer feature films? Loved doing them. I did a series for Newlon called Born This Way, full length car features. We spent a whole day filming. You have to remember this. They were paying us to make them. Now, if it costs $3,000 to make a car feature and YouTube makes $300, it's just reality. I would love to do a where are they now and go and find old cars and where are they now from the ignition days. And I would love to do those longer style car features, but they don't add up financially. That's why you see a lot of channels not doing it as much, or they'll feature 10 cars in a day, because a car feature where you spend a whole day filming them and then edit the feature and have very high production value, it is a $4,000 to $5,000 video. And if no one's paying for it, then they can't be made. That's just the simple reality. But yeah, I would love to do that stuff again. There's no better feeling than being in a GTR as it starts to spool. Correct. The G35 suggestion is the way to go. Correct. Are you looking at doing any more Motive tech? 100%. I would like to do a complete Motives RB26 and GTR tuning guide series this year, tackling every topic you see on the internet. I can't stand being in Facebook groups every day, seeing the same stupid questions. I just like to be able to go, here's a video, like I did with what oil should I use, or how much does it cost to build 1,100 horsepower, or we're going to try and cover everything. In terms of Motive tech, I've got about 10 technical videos I'd love to do, kind of like how that cold air intakes do and don't work. I'd love to do how turbos really work, how wastegates actually work, and how you can use them in different ways. I'd love to do suspension setup. I want to do something about how to build Sylvias even. Like, heaps of stuff I want to do, but same sort of deal. It's all about, at the time, look, the job board is based on what you need to do to pay the rent, right? And run your business. So like it's most of those Motive techs are self-funded things that I want to do. It'd be nice to get some sponsorship behind some of them, but we'll definitely be doing a lot more Motive tech this year. We are trying to clear out right now a lot of content all the way back to September. Runway Thrash, Muscle Car Challenge, everything we did at PRI and SEMA. And we should have all that backed out within 2 weeks. Then we're going to get back into building cars. And then I think Motive tech, you'll probably see us stop to do a bunch of Motive tech in like June, July when the car events die down. But definitely going to do more Motive tech. Obviously, PRP, Platinum tech will keep going. I'm planning on going 1,000 watts on a jet track on a 34. Am I nuts? Yes, but the jet track can hold it, but you've got to drive it properly. I've never seen one Z out in the wild here in New Zealand. Yep, that sounds about right. What do we got next? Missed the OG Jet 200 content. I'm not sure what you mean by the OG Jet 200 content, as in when it was a street car, or do you mean just missed having the content? We did a 10-part series at World Time Attack, so there's 10 episodes of Jet 200 build leading up to World Time Attack, and obviously finishing with us running that 29. Yeah, but what's that? You might have the Z sold. Hey, someone wants to buy the Z, just remember it's got a good parts list. It's got Shockworks coilovers, GK Tech camber arms, traction rods, etc. It has DBA rotors, aftermarket pads, aftermarket lines. It's got a Nismo intake, AMS downpipes, custom exhaust. It has catch can. It has a Ecotech tune. And I've got 20-inch WorkVS XXs for it, or the Proto wheels, or I've got raised wheels for it with Zestinos on it. So it's got like 25K worth of work on it. Oh, and it's got a uni clutch in it. So, and a diff brace and a diff cover and a charge cooler. So, yeah, I want a highly modified Z that makes probably 100 horsepower of a factory, does everything better, 2,000 Ks on it. Let me know. There you go. Sales video. What else we got? I think CD's booked out for months. Could you reckon other shops other than COD and Matux Racing? Yes, I can. Look, I don't. Talking about all these shops that build these GTRs is a tough one, right? How do you measure which one's the best and why or how, etc.? All of them have things they're good at or styles, and each of the owners or tuners or mechanics are different people. I really enjoy spending time with all of them and seeing their builds and their strategies. I think when choosing a workshop for a big GTR, maybe not so much a small one, you need to go meet the guys, go to events, see how their cars perform, see how their little community of friends perform together. And that'll help you decide who to work with as opposed to just which one's the best. Because we all know that CID and Matux are fighting for quickest everything all the time. But we've also seen Mick Mansell from Motorsports Mechanical break records at Cootamundra. He held the Pro Street record there for ages, which implied that he had better at setting up a car for a street circuit. B2R have held the manual record and were flogging everyone with Josh's Street Fighter. RHM's killing it at roll racing and he's a sick car. Like Birring Automotive been in the game forever and built some awesome cars. Justin Dean's car is the 2.6 block record at Cootamundra. Gem have been building awesome cars forever. Every now and then, Adam from Gem just busts out of nowhere and wins a dyno comp or wins an off-street racing or something. So, and then John from JMA Automotive in Melbourne, awesome as well. There's SRS guys in Queensland have done some awesome stuff. So I think choosing the best shot. Dartone Racing also has incredible quality builds. He hasn't built as until recently anyway. Recently is different. Dartone hadn't built as many 7-second GTRs as everyone else. But look how good Reaper was as an ultimate all-round street car. And now Bitch Please is an 8-second car that he drives around. The quality of his work and his own personal car with the Garage Active wide body is incredible. So if you want, and Gun 33, every Dartone build I look at is just dinner. You could eat your dinner off it and he's amazing. But then Matuk just comes out, bam, just swipes the floor, right? So I think every GTR shop all has their own thing that is their style, their way. Which one would you go to? I don't want to say one shop over another because you can't. You've got to go spend time with them, see their builds, hang out with them. You might not get along with that person. You might not vibe with them. Their crew may not be your way. I don't know. And one of the places I've found that gets a lot of customers though that aren't in the car scene but spend and do big builds that you never see is Power Tune. Ryan and Shea, they've done some great builds that you've never seen because it might be a doctor, an accountant, or a lawyer has done it and wants to stay very discreet. While other workshops is like a family. So I'll leave that with you because I don't want to give one, but I've mentioned a lot of really good shops in there for GTRs. There is more than that, but that's what I think. Looking to sell my 33 GTR V-Spec Series 350k miles, next condition, 500 horsepower link G4, what's drive. 33 GTRs are worth anywhere between 70 and 100k. It just depends. Without seeing the car, it's hard to say exactly. Born This Way was great. Thank you. I'm glad someone on here has watched the Born This Way series I did with Newlon. If you go to Newlon Oils or Newlon's YouTube channel, I did a build series called Born This Way where we basically, like the old days of Ignition, very high quality, interview the owner for a couple of hours, the whole day shooting a car, etc. Really good quality features. I have a huge bin full of Ignition DVDs. Lol. Cool. Sweet. Have you caught up with the boys from MCM? Moogie's working on Top Gear Australia, apparently. Yeah, he is. I haven't caught up with them recently, last couple of months or anything, but yeah, bump into them, talk to them, catch up. Yeah. We are dying. Lol. Same as me and High Octane. Lol. Yeah. Surely you reach 200k subs shortly. Please share the crap out of our channel. It's actually irritating. It's like YouTube knows you're getting close to a milestone and they throttle it or something. It's the YouTube algorithm is the worst thing in the world to fight. I might talk about that later. High Octane, you know what? I actually really enjoyed High Octane. Kettle Sterling was so funny. He wanted to be an actor, and that was his thing. And I thought they were funny. Very different style to what I did, but enjoyed it. Volunteers for CUDA. Do you have enough people now, or are you still keen for volunteers to help? If you would like to volunteer to work at any of our events, GTR Festival, Cootamundra, even smaller events that we might be attending, our motto is this: once someone volunteers, if they work hard and they enjoy it and they fit in, they're now a paid contractor for the event. That's how we like to do it. We don't like to just lean on volunteers constantly for everything. It's like come and try out. But if anyone out there is interested in being a part of Cootamundra events, GTR Festival, etc., or just any event in general that we're part of, we're happy to also teach you on the job how to be part of running events. You can do everything from helping production teams with filming, onboards, photos, etc. There is the ability to do that. So yeah, definitely. If you are interested in that, info@jetmultimedia.com.au. Send an email with who you are, where you live, what you're interested in. I guess you could probably PM or DM our Instagram page. Sometimes we miss them. Info@jetmultimedia is probably the best one to do. But worst case is, contact us via Instagram or Facebook Messenger. And we definitely always looking for more people. In fact, we're actually looking to hire a production assistant at the moment. A production assistant is a bit of a loose term because essentially it's an all-round do everything person that helps with everything. So everything from, you might do mail outs in the morning, you might go pick up some car parts and do some deliveries of some parts, then you might have to wash a car, then you might be helping work on a car, then you might be getting taught to be a secondary camera operator, you might be taught to do social media, photos. At events, you've got to load the van up, take the stuff there, help Pet set up the stand. You might be there during the event, you might help the production team. So it's like everything from events running, timing equipment, to working on cars, to filming, to photography, to social media. And you have the ability to learn within the genre that you want. If you want to learn how to edit, we'll teach you how to edit. You want to learn how to shoot better, we'll teach you how to shoot better. If you want to learn how to run events better, we'll teach you how to do that. So if anyone wants to take any of those paths long term and is early on in the piece and wants to be a production assistant, you want to come for 12 months and then go, or 2 years, whatever, we'll work your way up into being an editor or cameraman if that's what you want. But we are actually looking for a production assistant. I haven't officially put the job out, but we're looking for that and definitely need more staff this year. Same with America. If you want to volunteer to work at GTR Festival USA, let us know. We will have our core key staff, but we always need more helpers. So info@jetmultimedia.com.au. Let us know. Right. Thanks for that one. I'm glad someone brought that up. ST High Tech. Yep. Champions. These shops are all mates in a very small community. Correct. Just for the balloon. Sorry. TRP. Oh, yeah, actually, you know what? TRP do GTRs. They're not just Evo specialists. And Cranked Motorsport is now back open for business. So to the public, I should say, sorry, not back open to the public. So if you know Rob Arbolino, who helped with build Jet 200 and helped us get that number, helped us get the 8 in the GTR. Rob Arbolino now has gone in with Sam and they've opened Cranked Motorsport. You know what? While we're here, we'll say it. Cranked Motorsport will be helping us build some cars this year again. Rob's a gun. So they're now open for GTR builds. So Cranked Motorsport's another option. And also Cranked Motorsport is coming on as a presenting sponsor for the PRP GTR Festival. So that official announcement will be coming out very shortly. So that's definitely another option. So I hate being put on the spot live. Like, how many shops could you use? You always forget something somewhere, right? Like, hey, Red Sun build GTRs too, right? So like they're Sylvia specialists, but Matt's builds a couple of killer GTRs. So yeah. TRP, yep. You and the Miss are going to do OnlyFans. Have you ever heard of 101 Motorsports in Brisbane? Yes, have. Yeah, I've seen Varun and the boys do some pretty amazing work. Because they're in Queensland, I don't see them every week or anything and like hang out. So, but like the work I've seen come out of their shop, I Bomb You was a sick car. But I don't know what they're up to right now. But yeah, they've done some great work. I've seen them do some great things. So the R32 that John built with the rotor in it is pretty choice. Correct. Where do you feel the car scene will head over the next, say, 5 to 10 years? That's you know what? I'm saving that for another whole Q&A. We're already an hour and 48 into this, and we're probably going to wrap it up in 10. I think 5 to 10 years, that's a whole other podcast. So we'll save that. What's your opinion on the new Turbo Smart turbos? I don't have one yet. I haven't used one. That's my engineer opinion. But speaking to Turbo Smart, which I do, friends with a lot of staff there, work with them a lot. I didn't know anything about it till that day at SEMA. They actually kept it completely hidden. But talking to them about the person that was involved in the development of that, it's not a secret. He used to work at Precision and then had the HTP stuff. So in the back end, yes, the design stuff, new generation of stuff is good. The testing I've seen so far, it looks pretty good. But I don't think I'm going to be able to go and test them back to back because I'm friends with Garrett. I They supply turbos to us. They sponsor our events. We work together. I've done development with them. I'm also friends with TurboSmart, did development with them. Friends with the guys from Precision. Puts me in a very awkward spot to sit there and compare them. But all I know is I have experience with Garrett personally. Amazing. I know the TurboSmart stuff is looking really good. And the people that I know that have tested it, Golby's, Birong, have seen some pretty good results so far. Yeah, and they're looking very promising. But I'm not going to sit there and compare them, to be honest. What's your opinion? You keep keen to do GTR Festival, being tied up with AutoCell on 4-hour events and Automania doing events. Yep, cool, sick. Love to see you make the iLoad go fast. How about an LS swap and the iLoad? Comment, like. Trent Smith, who won't be watching down in Wollongong, he has done LS conversion, iLoad. I am very tempted to do that. Could you recommend a budget insurance company to fully insure my modified straight? I only use Shannon's, to be honest, but I'm older, so it makes it a bit easier. I don't know if Famous is still doing stuff or what, but could head of IPM racing in ACT? Yeah, definitely. Ben Medulak's a good friend of mine. He's a legend. I've gone to Canberra for his birthday and hung out with him and stuff. And yeah, me and Ben are mates. Ben actually threw the keys to Susie of his RS3 to run her best drag time ever. And IPM. I love Ben's great. Project No Secrets, when's that going to be kickstarted? Been itching for more of it. I agree with you. I said it earlier in this video, is that with Project No Secrets, the GTR trying to run an 8, and then after GTR Festival, and then the 200 getting its big overhaul for World Time Attack just meant it got pushed back. And then before you know it, we had Runway Thrash, then we had SEMA, then World Cup, and then we're in Texas, and then honestly, yeah. And to be honest, the Group A car, the 32 and Jet 200, became the priority, so the gold car just sat there. One plan is to put the RB30 out of my 32 into Project No Secrets at the end of the year. Once my 32 is done, basically done GTR Challenge, GTR Festival, Optima Ultimate Street Car, go to the US, does our event, does a this versus that, gets featured, gets thrashed, comes back, we pull that engine out, put it in the gold car. That's one option, because the engine and the gearbox are the expensive part, right? I've thought about putting an 8 HP in it and putting the sequential in my Group A car. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know what it's going to take to kickstart Project No Secrets. An engine, or a bunch of money. To be honest, I don't like, it doesn't like, our business strategy doesn't matter, whatever. But like I say to people, YouTube money is not enough to build one car, let alone 8. So unfortunately, some just sit there and wait. So right now, I can't give you a definitive answer on Project No Secrets, other than I want it to be an old school style GTR T51R, Greddy inlet, but then modern internal engine, modern ECU, a sequential or a 8 HP, and just be an awesome street car, half cage, reclinable seats, drivable. That's what I want out of that car now, and be immaculate and a really nice car, because the 32 is just going to keep going, right? So that's why Project No Secrets is kind of sitting there doing nothing, because until it gets a kickstart, that's just kind of what it's going to do. Can we see a vid at Machine and Magica? They're a fair way. We keep talking about going up there. We've got to hurry up and do that. Like I said, any videos like that where we travel to go film has to be financed or supported by either the event or a sponsor or whatever. LSA iLoad. Yep. Imagine the tow vehicle can do better burnouts than the car you're towing. Thanks for the stream. Love it. W2 was a great watch last year. Yep. Awesome. Cheers. Appreciate that. No Secrets could be stock as F a while. You can enjoy it like that. Here's the thing. It would actually be more difficult to put together that car stock, because I've got to go buy a complete stock engine, and then I've got to go wire it. I've got to do everything, and then I have to redo it when I modify it. And I'm not going to drive a stock GTR around. So I get that there's a theory behind, I guess, just trying to slap it together. But the Group A car is sort of being slapped together, then will get developed. But honestly, until I have like the engine for the gold car, who knows? I might do a deal with HKS or Greddy, get one of their crate engines. PRP could suddenly go, here's an engine. Or my 32 comes home, I put that engine in that car and put a billet engine in the 32. That's my plan, unless that changes. And then I'll have an RB32 in that car, probably with this bad boy on it, making about 800, 850 wheel, and that's it. And with a sequential or an 8 HP, and it'll be a 6 street car, and could take it to car meets, cruise around. I might even try and get it engineered. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Yeah. Are you going to do more live streams like this? I would like to do one of these a month, if that's what people like. If we get enough views, if you share it around, if our subscriber base grows. the algorithm from YouTube at the moment is a nightmare, right? People don't realize that most of those big YouTubers in the US, you have to remember YouTube as a business, what they do is they sell advertising into YouTube. That's how it's all funded. And we get a cut of that advertising. They're in charge of what we get. You know that the amount that you get in January is usually half what you get in December because the advertisers all stop their pre-Christmas advertising and it drops. We don't even know when it's going to drop or why half the time, but you can go from like a CPM of $18 down to $8 like that. YouTube can ruin your life instantly. I'm doing double the work, triple the videos to make half the money as 5 years ago for the same amount. Like, it's crazy how much YouTube has just slammed content creators in the last few years and made it really difficult. So for us, like I said, the best way you can support us is you can join our YouTube channel membership, $4.99 a month. We do a monthly parts giveaway. We've given away turbo clutches, wastegates, blow-off valves, gritty merch packs, etc. We're doing the PRP shot glasses this month. $4.99 a month, go in the draw for that. But we also let you get early access. It's about 8 videos on our channel we haven't released yet, and we let you guys watch them early. And it just supports us to do more. Like I said, if I could just do tech features and project cars to teach you guys every day, that is all I would do. I really would. I love it. I love the best interaction that we ever get at events is we don't get mobbed like, say, a big YouTuber from the US does. Whenever we travel overseas, the biggest thing we get is people come up and say, "Hi, Andrew, thanks for the video. I learned a lot. It helped me build my car." And I go, "Hey, what car you got?" "Yeah, sweet." And that's the interaction I love to have with people, is people actually learning from our channel, building better cars. Because there's some junk on YouTube. Like, even some of the YouTubers I like, I just shake my head and go, you need to stop talking about cars. You don't know what you're talking about. There's so much misinformation. I'm not going to say any names on channels, but there are YouTubers I'm fans of that I watch who are great personalities, do great things with like rebuilding a car. But when it comes to modifying a car, I just look and go, "Oh man, please stop. Like, you're giving out wrong information." So we're trying to do as best we can to be one of the only YouTube channels that actually test products, test cars, develop them, show you guys how to make better cars. And it's, man, honestly, I'm doing YouTube the most expensive way possible. If I just vlogged my life, like, that would be way cheaper and quicker and easier. But if you want to help us, $4.99 a month membership, promote the channel, tell people to subscribe, like buy merchandise, enter our events, like, it all helps. I'm not doing it to buy a Lambo. I'm not doing it to buy bunch of cars to have in my shed. I want to build cars to teach you guys. And I would rather build 5 cars a year and keep them moving on and just keep my key cars, which is my 32, my 3 GTRs and my S14 is really the ones I'm like, they're the ones I want to keep. And then, yeah, that's what we want. So it'd be nice to crack 200,000 subscribers very soon, but hopefully doing more events in the US and being there more, we can grow a bit quicker. So we'll be seeing attempted 28s with Jet 200, no, you will definitely be seeing a 28 attempt. Yes, I will not be getting rid of that car ever, even if I retire it. No, are you going to do more live streams? Yep, I did say I was going to do that. I have 19-inch alloy wheels on my 33 GTS. Is it worth changing wheels for 18s? I think the tire convention 19s are too low profile. I agree. I actually think 17s is the right size overall, but 18s look the best. We'll be seeing it. Yep. How do you get such awesome scrutineers at CUDA? Easy. We meet some cool people. What do you think is the issue with TJ Hunt's GTR engine? They don't seem to want to say. Well, I'm friends with the guy from Throttle, and I'm friends with Tommy. I'm not saying anything. Sorry. It's not my place. It's not my place. I have so much goss in this head and information of just about every YouTube channel in the US and YouTuber. But that's the thing, is they're my friends. And if I tell you what I know or what I think, I'm breaking that trust and therefore become a content vulture instead of a friend. So yeah, that's sorry guys. As tempting as it is to spill the beans for likes and spill the beans for views on everything happening in YouTube land and car scene land and all the rumors behind the scene, I know, like, trust me, I know everything that's going on in the GTR scene around the world. Maybe not everything, but like most of it. Dramas between workshops and who's blown up cars that hasn't told you, like all that stuff. But I tell you about what we do, and that's it, because it's not my place to give away that information. So yeah, that's my answer. I'm not breaking trust with people I'm good friends with just to get views, and I never will. So yeah, the goss and all that. Any crap you see me, like, for example, interacting with other YouTubers, is we're mates. I don't talk about YouTubers I'm not friends with ever. So if I give shit to Tommy or little dig at Adam or whatever, or Benny Neal even, or Mighty, we're all friends. You won't. I'm not going to bag a YouTuber that I don't know, that I can't ring afterwards and laugh and go, "Hey, bro, I gave you a bit of shit in my video." So yeah, I'm just not in the game of bagging YouTubers. It's just not a good look. I'll worry about what I do. They can do what they do. If we're friends, we work together on things. That's it. So Barrett in No Secrets. No. Could you make a video on Billet RB streetability? It's coming. I just don't know when. What else have we got? What do you think the issue? Yep, saw that. In Australia, USA or Australia, your biggest demographic for YouTube? I'll tell you right now. How's that sound? I'll give you an up-to-date information on what my demographic is for America and Australia. It used to be like 58, 65% Australia is what it used to be. Sorry, it's just loading. Right now, overall, in the last 28 days, 25.8% Australia and 25.3% USA. So our geography at the moment is actually, it's 5% Japan, surprisingly. I never expected that. And yes, we are in talks to do an event in Japan between PRP, myself, talking with HKS, Grady, Sakamoto, etc. So there's another scoop for you. United Kingdom, 5%, New Zealand, 3.8, Canada, 2.7, Germany, 2.4, South Africa, 2%. So yeah, that's when. Let's go the last 12 months. Australia, 33%, United States, 23%. So yeah, our US market is growing. Good question. Sucks to have morals and ethics sometimes. I'm going to be honest, like through my career, I've had the opportunity to spill the beans and talk shit and get views, have access to things that I could have a scoop that I could release earlier as clickbait. I hate clickbait crap. Technically, the word clickbait is fine because you're creating a thumbnail that makes people want to click it, right? What I hate is a thumbnail and a description that implies that something is there and you get in there and it's not that. I hate it. I stirred up TJ Hunt the other week when he wrote 1,500 horsepower above an engine thumbnail, knowing that engine would never make that and couldn't make it. So I called him out and said, that's it. We're racing. That's it. Man up. We're doing it. But yeah, there's so many things I could have done. Inside scoops, exclusive access to footage and information. And I just don't. Does it mean we're growing slower than other channels? Probably. Does it mean that, we're not making as much money? Maybe, but who cares? I'd rather work within this car scene behind the scenes in a way that makes it a better car scene. And you guys might not always see it or know it, but it's always been my goal, a better car scene for everyone, and support it, do what we've got to do. And sometimes keeping your mouth shut can be really difficult, but long term, it's for the better. That's the reality. It's like when people say, what do you think of this part? I go, I haven't used it. That's it. Do you think the all new tech, the 2.8 liter is dead and it's all be 3.2s? No, I don't. Some people still want to use a 2.6 block N1 or even a 2.6 billet block. They love a 2.8 for the sound of a 2.8. And if you only want 800 horsepower, 2.8 is fine. I don't think 2.8s are dead. No, I don't. Plus, for circuit, you want big RPM and you don't want the harmonics of the RB30 block. So, yes, circuit will always be a 2.6 liter block. Rewind the stream. Oh, I can't. Sucks. Cars from Japan series. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I get to drive a bunch of stuff. I would love to do all the racetrack. It's a very expensive exercise to hire a track for every car. Some are on consignment too, and they're for sale, right? Like, so I'm not going to go thrash them at the track just in case. It's too much of a risk. Insurance-wise, you never know. So I'm enjoying the Cars from Japan series. Joe's actually in Japan right now. Hi, Joe. Wish I was there at Tokyo Salon. I feel like I was the only one that wasn't. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Sort of topic, do you partake in any sim racing? I've considered getting a setup, but that stuff is hell of expensive. I have a sim in my office here, but it's very basic. It's like PlayStation with F1, Assetto Corsa, project cars. It's a seat and steering wheel like a Logitech. It's enough that if I just feel like driving on a sim, I can, but it's not a full-blown sim for training. It's just one. And I do agree that even a basic sim like that keeps your reflexes sharp. Just keeps your mind sharp for racing. That's it. I think it does. So I do have one, and I think it's worth getting it. They are fun. On that note, 80% of what I know on RBs and Skylines, I've learned a few. Thank you. Never imagined I listened to so much that people are surprised that I've learned so much on YouTube and your channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've met Moog very briefly. He's generally the nicest person I've ever met. And he's full on. Yeah, he is. Moog is awesome. The end. Yeah, love spending time with him. Very smart guy. Very nice guy. They're probably the nicest people you ever meet. So I'm trying to get Ebisu with my Falcon. Yep, my 3 controls. Cool. Ebisu at Falcon to Ebisu. That'd be sick. Size get the guys on Brennan. How do you find? No idea. Jake Jones 2.815 sounds pretty sick. It does, definitely. I will agree. 2.8 generally sounds the best. Kettle Stealing was fantastic. Yes, the floodgates for GDRs is now open in the States. Hopefully, this will boost the new audiences here. I hope so. It's not why I'm doing it. Like, I've loved GDRs since before I worked at Ignition, before I worked anywhere. So for me, the GTR scene doing well and holding GTR events and everything is like a great bonus for just being a massive GTR fan. And if you're a massive GTR fan, what's the best thing you can do? Well, make your life have as much of them in there as you can, right? So yeah, GTR is growing in the US. Like GTR Festival in the US, I didn't like purposely run it this year because of R34s being legal. It was a combination of factors that snowballed into this being when I ran it. It's actually a whole nother story potentially if you guys are interested in that. I guess the backstory of GTR Festival. But yeah, it doing well over there is going to be awesome. Yeah, it should be pretty cool. So, but yeah, like I said, I think we need to wrap this up a little bit now. It's been 2 hours. I've got to go eat some dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed, I guess, some interaction and some feedback for you guys, answer some questions. I'm happy to do this once a month where I can update you on what's going on with our project cars and our events, and then can just basically answer questions. If you have tech questions, if you want to know about combinations for your car, if you want to know what you should choose, I'm happy to answer anything that is car and work related. Thankfully, very nicely, only one person decided to throw in a little joke in there that was anything to do with family or anything else. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes people don't see the joke, but that's fine. I can cop a fair bit. It's all good. But yeah, happy to do this once a month and basically run through what we're doing, what we're up to, and then communicate with you guys, because obviously some of you guys get to meet me at events and see me at events. And I will say this, when I'm at events, there are certain events I'm at where I can stop and chat, right? I've got time. But there are other events that if I'm running the event or we're filming or I'm hosting or I'm racing or I'm driving, sometimes someone will try and stop me to talk to me. I've been stopped before while I'm physically running in my race suit with a helmet under my arm, trying to put my balaclava on, and someone stops and says, "Can I get a photo?" And I said, "Can you please do it after that?" And they got upset, got online and said I was a wanker. So, yeah. But this is a great way for me to interact with you guys, answer questions. The other thing we're going to do is, if you are a member, like I said, if you want to support the channel, $4.99 a month to be part of the YouTube membership program within YouTube, go in the draw to win performance parts or giveaways every month, access to videos earlier. We'll try and do some extra promotions and bonus deals for you guys. And you guys will get first dibs on asking questions here to answer. So that's the plan with that. GTR Festival Australia, early bird tickets are on sale now to enter your car or buy a spectator ticket. That means you got the biggest discount right now. That price will go back up in a few weeks, and then it's an online discount price, and then it's normal price. GTR Festival USA, I'm hoping to have the final rules and regs ready to open entries on the 1st of Feb and spectator tickets probably on the 1st of March. But you'll also be able to enter in person, or if you come to TX2K and you've already entered, you can grab an entrant pack for as a bonus. We'll give you a free window banner and sticker just to help, obviously, support GTR Festival USA. But yeah, Cranked Motorsport came on today as a presenting sponsor for GTR Festival Australia. We're in talks with heaps of companies. Traders Alley is going to be massive. The car lineup should be killer. We're trying to finalize getting Sakamoto's Carbon R32 to Australia to race. I don't want to say it's definite. I will just say that he said he wants to bring it. We're working on bringing it. There's no reason to not bring it, but sometimes things happen out of your control. So right now is the plan to bring that. Larry, Mickey want to come. Tommy F. wants to come. I know that's going to be a controversial thing. I'm happy to have that discussion with anyone who wants to about Tommy F. All I will say is this. I've read and heard everything you've read and heard about Tommy. But if Adam LZ and Larry Chen and Hurt, who are 3 very good friends of mine, say that they're friends with him and that you guys will get along, and then when we met, we got along great, then that's all I can go off, right? All my time with Tommy has been fantastic. I know he's dry and harsh, but we have a good understanding of what he does and what I do, or mutual respect for what each other does, and are happy to give each other a bunch of shit too. So we can hang crap on each other and then still hang out afterwards. So yes, I'm aware there are plenty of people with an opinion on him, but I can only go off my interaction with him and what I've heard from my close friends who are close friends with him. That's all I can do, right? So if anyone that wants to say anything about why I'm friends with him now or whatever, go say what you want. But at the end of the day, I can only go off my experience. Same as the parts we test, same as the parts we use. I can only tell you what I've tried, what I've used, what I've tested. So yeah, that's just how it is. So got any more there? Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the support there. Yep. Everyone seems to be happy. Want to do it once a month. I'm happy to do this once a month. I can't give an exact date. It'll always be based on events when we do it. So, but let's try and keep it mid-month. Maybe we'll try and do that. But like I said, if you're a member, you can ask questions early, get access to some other videos. We've got a whole bunch of new merch. It's going to launch by TX2K as well for this year. Yeah, there's heaps going on. I'm just really looking forward to building both 32 GTRs, to be honest. If I had it my way, that's what I'd do. But we've got a bit of editing to catch up on. In fact, I'm going to open up my calendar right now. I'm going to tell you guys what we've got coming up. How does that sound for edits? Just for edits in the next couple of weeks. They're ready. All right. You'll be able to have access to some of these if you're a member. But right now, next week, we've got a Cars from Japan review with an R35 GTR. Hurt and Zach at Summonats 36, Runway Thrash 4-wheel drives, a feature at Dream Racing where I drive a Z06 and a F8 Tributo back-to-back. We've got more Runway Thrash content, T1 Race Developments Tour, Cars from Japan review, Jotech Motorsports Tour. We start the Uniclutch Super Build. We've got a feature on Sakamoto's GTR, a tour of Larry Chen, a tour of Least Spec, Uniclutch Episode 2, a feature on the Shop Houston's Kimbo 35, Mac Brosnan. We've got a triple feature on 3 cars at Greddy. We've got another Uniclutch feature. Miles in Gringo Integra. Josh's R32 GTR that we featured while we're over there. Yeah, there's a lot banked up. We've now got content backed up until the 4th of March. 3 or 4 videos a week before I insert any extra project car stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of content coming. So subscribe, share it, show everyone, help us. The more subscribers we get, the more I can do. The end. And like I said, I would build Project No Secrets, the Group A car, my 32 tomorrow, if YouTube had enough money to let us do that. So that's not a sob story. It's not a thing that it's stressing me out. I just want you guys to understand the reality of why we can't just drop everything and build Project No Secrets, or why we can't build the cars faster. It's not anyone's problem. It's just the natural progression of the business to evolve. And as the corporate work backs off and YouTube grows, we can, if we can get more staff, I'd love to have a full-time mechanic help us if we could, but just that's not on the cards yet. But like I said, we are looking for a production assistant and volunteers at our events. So yeah, there's a lot for you guys to digest in here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for the support. And yeah, we'll be back in probably another month. Hang on. Was the money better when you were doing DVDs and magazine stuff? Was it better as in overall? Hell no. Our business is doing much better now. Like, yeah, it's totally different. Like, we have a complete studio and editing suites and staff and whatever. When I was doing DVDs, I had like 2 of us working from home, right? I had 2 cars. Wasn't traveling as much and wasn't able to run like, but the earlier days of magazines that I missed, yeah, there was way more budget then, way more money. There really was. Speaking of magazines, we are going to do a GTR Hub Volume 3. If you haven't bought GTR Hub Volume 2, jump on our website and grab a copy. We send it around the world, but we're going to do number 3 to launch at GTR Festival USA. So yeah, and we're going to get a printer in the US because we are setting up a storage area in Dallas with PRP and Artec so we can keep everything over there and start shipping out of the US soon. So I think by mid-year, we will be shipping Modi Video merch, GTR Festival merch, GTR Hub magazine, even headlight ducts out of the US rather than from here. So you're going to see a lot of growth this year. Another big thing is Susie is leaving her full-time job to work here full-time, and she'll be handling marketing, promotion in the back end, and handling online stores and expansion of our online stores, expansion of our merch range. So pretty exciting time this year. Hopefully we can do more with Susie's Porsche. She did get to run her first 10-second pass at Runway Thrash. That video will be out, I think, next week. So yeah, Yeah, but look, when I was at Ignition DVD, that's when the death of magazines had already started, and even DVD death had already started. I was late to YouTube. I should have done it sooner. So yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot going on. Thanks for watching, and I better wind this up. I'll get something to eat. Someone asked before, Macca's, KFC, or Hungry Jack's. It's going to be none of those this evening. But yeah, we'll get this 51 on something soon. But yeah, we'll be back in a month for another one of these. But most people do send me PMs, DMs, etc. to ask for advice on their GTRs. So yeah, I'm always happy to help. That's my favorite thing to do, is help people build their cars better and have a really positive car scene community. If that happens, then everything else comes with it, right? So yeah. But thanks for joining us. We're going to end this up, and yeah, don't forget, become a member of our YouTube channel, enter GTR Festival, get spectator tickets, grab a GTR Hub magazine, grab some merch, whatever you need, or just keep watching, keep supporting, and we've got heaps to come this year. It's gonna be a big year. Let's go.